every guitarist has got that one shop, that one guitar shop, that one place that feels like home. But for the Southwest, Intersound is that place. And today we're going to find out all about them. I'm Hello Sailor Joe. Welcome to the Pelter Live podcast. My illustrious co-host, as ever, is...
Today I am Jerry Weir. Greetings and salutations, fellow psychonauts. I am so stoked, so excited to have two of my favorite artists on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Johnny Marr and Peter Frampton.
Woo! How's it going, man? How's it going?
How's it going? I'll take two of whatever he's had.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few in the chat here. It's the usual suspects.
It's the Romulan Ailmate.
Dan Mincher, Craze Fandango. Welcome to the podcast. And some new faces too. I'd like to know in the comments, everyone, do you have a local guitar shop that you go to that feels like home if you want to try out a new guitar? Or are you like me, an absolute guitar shop pauper because there isn't any in your area and use Andertons? I'd love to know. What about you, John? Out in the hills, in the sticks? You got?
Well, I am my own guitar shop these days. So as far as like working on anything, but you know, as far as like going and looking for stuff, there's a lot of like really cool little niche places, but they're starting to disappear fast. I mean, you know, there's the Vintage Corner here that I told you about, but you know, it's pretty limited as far as what he gets in, you know, but you'll see some gems every now and then. But I mean, it's not like it used to be. You used to have like 3 or 4 music stores in every small town in the States, and they're disappearing just like, you know, everything else.
Mr. Craze Fandango says, I use a shop called Intersound Guitars.
Hey, I've heard of them.
Cheers, mate.
Too bad I don't have a Learjet.
They're awful, man. Don't go to them.
Yeah,
Too bad I don't have a Learjet, or I'd be there.
We got plenty more people saying that Intersound's their local. So do you guys find that you'd have the same crowd that come in like weekly and check stuff out? Is that a...
Yeah, we got regulars, Martin being one of them, Mr. Craze Fandango, you know, Harry, who's become a fast friend recently. And yeah, we got a bunch of local sort of guys that just like pop in and say hello, even if it's not buying something, you know, it's just popping in and hanging out, really. I think that's one of the things that's been lost in guitar shops in a way, you know, as the commerce and all that kind of stuff has gone, you know, it's like the art of the hang, you know what I mean? And just talking about gear and it being like a kind of a third space, you know what I mean? That kind of idea of a third space, like a pub or something like that. You know, sometimes I feel like it's almost like a rec room as much as it is a business, you know what I mean? It's important to have. It's important to have.
I completely agree, and I think that's why like Andertons are doing so well on their online side of it, because they're bringing like that hang to your living room basically, or to wherever on your phone, because most people can't make it to a good guitar shop that's local, you know. Like my closest one's the next city over. It's in Southampton.
Yeah, back in the early 2000s, I was part of a guitar shop called Smashing Guitars in Asheville, and it was like a community hub. It's where people came together, and like, you know, we had people that would teach lessons, and people would come in and hang out. Bands were formed out of there, and the owner was connected to a recording studio. So, I mean, it was something that, you know, the community like really valued. And once the economy tanked in 2008, 2009 with the housing market crash, it became where we were just making all of our money on our internet sales. And the only reason for having a brick and mortar was when people were bringing stuff in that we could buy and then flip on the internet. We were just like, why are we paying this much money in rent and insurance and all this power, everything else to keep the lights on? So,
yeah, man.
Well, Craze Fandango's answered that. It's a support group for nerds, mate. That's why
it is. Yeah. Nerds and virgins, all are welcome.
Have you guys seen like a certain demographic shift throughout your time there? Because I know you've been, well, especially you've been there for a very long time. Have you seen it evolve or?
Well, so I started working full time in the shop about 3 years ago, but I was the Saturday boy back when I was sort of, you know, 18, 19, 20. Has I ever seen a shift? I don't know. There's still, you know, people who are like 50 plus who've got a bit of cash in their pocket and, you know, can buy
the cash, not so much, but I am 50 plus.
But they, you know, they can buy these things. You know, people that are younger can't necessarily drop, you know, $3 or $4 grand on like, you know, like a Brook or you know, handmade acoustic guitar or a custom shop Strat or whatever. I've definitely seen more younger people coming in. There was a really funny time, probably about 2 years ago, whenever the last Stranger Things came out.
Yeah.
Loads of people really liked Eddie and like heavy metal and Metallica, and there must have been at least 3 young lads came in and they were playing Metallica riffs, and you could just tell that they've been inspired. So yeah, sometimes younger people, but yeah, I don't know. We get a mix. To be fair, we get a mix. There was a funny time where we had the last like we sold 3 basses in like a 2 or a 3 month period, and they were all to like women under 20. It was just like,
really?
Woman under 20, and then it happened again, and then it happened again, and it was just like 3 in a row. It was just kind of random, and just the bass, not a guitar, not a like.
There's been a real trend for girls playing bass, and I think there's a few factors to that. The girl that played with Jeff Beck, that Vinny Colaiuta discovered. What was her name?
Tal something.
Yeah, and then also there's the girl that's been playing like jazz fusion stuff, and she's been on a lot of the bass channels. She's like Indian looking, and she like does all kinds of like sexy videos with her bass. So I think it's, you know, there's some like, you know, seeds being planted. It's like, hey, bass is cool for girls. Yeah. You know, bands that have female bass players, they tend to get better audiences as far as the numbers go. They put booties in the seats.
Hey man, the Pumpkin.
Is it?
You know? Yeah, Tina Weymouth.
Yeah.
There
you go. Well, funnily enough, my one of my work colleagues come and see me maybe about 2 weeks ago, and she said, "You're into guitar. My son plays in a band," and I'm expecting, his son's like 15, and I'm expecting this terrible sound to come out. She puts a phone down in front of me, presses play, and this kid's playing bass and singing his own song that he's made himself. He sounds like Baby Shambles. I mean, clearly he's influenced by Baby Shambles, but he was amazing. And he was in a professional recording studio, and they had like 2 guitarists with stacks and stuff. And I was like, do you know what? This is amazing. 15-year-olds are still making bands and still doing this sort of thing.
There's a big resurgence I've noticed, man.
Yeah,
like
I feel like it's on the edge.
My niece and my nephew and a lot of their friends, they all got into like old music too. It's not like they're, you know, going for this pop trash. I think, you know, there's a revolution against that. They're like going back to the stuff their parents and their grandparents listened to, and they're like, hey, this is cool. And like my nephew, he's like into, you know, really good quality gear. Like he's going for, you know, vintage sounds. He's like looking at tube amps. He's getting into, you know, all the different aspects of what the old sounds were. So there's hope for him.
Yeah, I feel like today's young people are tomorrow's guitar shop owners, you know. I mean,
yeah.
I'm dying to know how that come about. Was that like was it a life goal to get in a guitar shop, or one day did you just think?
I suppose for me, I suppose I would have loved to have been a full-time musician, but I came to guitar quite late. I kind of started and played when I was 12 to 13. I played for a year, and then I played really in earnest at like 17. So I started like kind of late, and I've been trying to catch up all my peers and my friends ever since. And so I suppose what I really wanted to be was Jim Morrison. You know, when I was like, 18, that's what I wanted to be, or Jimi Hendrix. You know, take your pick. Maybe Lee Reed. But you know, working in a guitar shop was it was the dream when I was maybe, like 19, 20, and Intersound was around. And the funny thing is, I came in on a Monday. I was you know, got out of college and I didn't have a job. I'd like bummed around playing, you know, working like, you know, temp jobs and stuff. And I decided, I'm going to go and try and work at this guitar shop. And I came in on the Monday, and the guy who was running it was just like part-time. He was like, I was like, can I have a job? He was like, nah, I don't know. So he said, come back in on Saturday. So I came back in, and Steve, the guy that started Intersound Guitars back in 1998, I said, you know, can I have a job? And he's like, we just don't need anybody. We just like, it was like a part-time job. He's like, nah, we just don't need, like Saturday, like just working the Saturday, you know, just I'll take anything. He's like, I'm really sorry, we just don't need anything. I was like, I'll work on Saturday for free. He was like, honestly, you're hired, don't worry about it. You start now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was just like the Saturday boy for a bit, and there was that chunk of my like early life, late teens, early 20s, where I was like, oh, I've got to get into Intersound. That would be amazing. And then life got in the way, and I ended up getting a proper job, and stopped hanging around as much and working on Saturdays for free. But I was still in the mix, and I knew a few people that were working here and stuff, and I would come down and buy my guitars from here, because I either lived in the town that was like 10 minutes away, or I lived in the town that's 25 minutes away. So it was always the most local place. And it kind of went out of my head, honestly. It really did. I just thought, oh, that was a bit of a dream, and I never thought about it. And then 3-4 years ago, I got the opportunity to come in. Both of the old guys were retiring, and I met Jacob. The first thing that I ever said to Jacob was hello. The second thing was, do you want to be in a band?
Yeah.
Because we were at a blues jam, and he was the youngest guy by about 30 years. And so I was just like, I got to try and get this kid, because he's insane. He plays drums, guitar, everything. And so then, when I knew that I was going to be the main owner and it was just going to be me, and I needed like a number two, like someone to work with, I was like, Jacob all the way. I just knew. But Jacob has like known the shop longer than I have, because he's from Dursley. So he's grown up with it his whole life. The shop's technically been going longer than he's been alive, but yeah, he's known it his whole life, literally. Yeah,
that's amazing. So you did start the band then, I take it?
Yeah. Well, I already had like a band, like a solo project, and I needed musicians to play. And yeah, Jake was.
Danny has a way of getting his hooks in, I think, is the yeah.
So he roped you into the band and then into being
It's not like it's not like heroin, is it? Come on, like it's what I mean. It's like
I don't know. It's as bad as my bank account.
Yeah. I mean, my massive collection of gear might disagree, but hey,
yeah. But at
least it hasn't killed me yet. That's the thing.
I've been addicted.
It has left me broke and wondering where my next meal was going to come from. I was like, well, I guess I go play some gigs. They'll feed me at least. I might get a beer too.
How are you finding guitar sales at the minute? Because I mean, we were talking just before the show and saying that it's been slow of late, but I think the economy in the UK has took like a massive dive, and these are luxury products. I mean, I'm charging a fortune for a tiny little box. People just don't have the money for it. With that said, I bought like. Is my wife watching? I wonder. I hope she's not one of the people watching. I bought like 3 guitars in the last 2 months.
Don't worry about it.
Oh man, I forgot what it was like to see people smoking inside.
I forgot what it was like to smoke inside. It's the first time I've done that in a while.
I was going to say, you normally wait until after the show, mate. You're late today.
Hey, we were running late. Time got away from me. I was organizing things down here, and then I looked up and said, it's like after 2 o'clock, and I haven't eaten anything yet. So.
No, I was coughing to cover up the price.
To cover, cover
up the price. About what? That's it. It was a distraction. Mission accomplished.
It's difficult. Like you dead right. These things are luxury. If you've already got a collection of 4, 5, 12 guitars, whatever it is, more. Do you need another one? Part X's have become the hottest.
Obviously, you do.
Really, because I haven't got like £1,000 to spend because I need to put that on bills. I need to put that on, the mortgage, whatever. But I've got this guitar that's worth something. I know that it has a value. I'm happy to swap it around and take less than I could sell it for privately.
Yes.
If I get something that's cool or different, like well, I've got like a couple of basses. I wouldn't mind a third one. I've got like 10 guitars. I'll swap that around. So that's become very big. There's a really interesting guy. He's actually, I can't remember his name, but I think it's Gary's Guitars. He like popped up on my like feed on YouTube maybe about a year ago, and I do watch his videos. Like he puts one out every week, and he's got the kind of like clickbaity names like the Guitar Apocalypse or the Secondhand Apocalypse.
Honestly, I've seen that channel. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's got some really good takes on running like a small business. I've actually reached out to him because he really does have like his like finger on the pulse of how it works for like a small independent shop. Obviously, it's in the US where the economies are kind of different. But I like you were saying before, man, like there's less guitar shops in the US, there's less guitar shops in the UK. Like I think it's worldwide thing. I don't think it's localized to Europe or the UK or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
we're seeing the big names closing, aren't we? Let's face it.
Yeah.
That is a surprise.
It's getting to where it's like little small businesses that are like private appointment only listening room type places are surviving because the guy's using it as an office for something else. This is his side hustle, and he just happens to like buying and selling like guitars of a certain type, and so I've seen that survive. But like the brick and mortar store is gone.
Because as a small store, if you're trying to move the direction of a small store, there's not a lot of weight behind you to move. Whereas, say you're the head of PMT and suddenly you've spent 20, 30 grand on Ibanez's, and next week Ibanez is not great. Well, sorry, man, you've just bought up all their stock. Like, what are you going to do about it? You've got this behemoth that you got to move. Well, that's hard.
Well, and becoming a factory dealer for certain dealerships is becoming even worse. They make you buy a certain level of their cheapest junk, and like you're forced to sell it and carry it in your store, and you're like, no, I just want the good stuff, man. Don't make me take these $99 made in Indonesia like guitar shaped objects, please.
That's interesting. So how do you guys navigate that sort of complex world of big guitar companies and the deals that they force you into or force you into?
Well, you don't.
we simply just don't. I mean,
you can't.
There's a funny story.
They want you to put down sometimes like what, $1 million for inventory. To become a Fender dealer, it's like a ridiculous amount of money just to become an officially licensed Fender dealer.
There's a funny story, particularly to do with Fender, who when Steve was running the shop, I don't know when this was, like 2004, 2005, something like that, and the terms were getting more and more like crazy, and Steve was just like, I can't commit that much money to it. I can't do it. And the rep walked out and was like, this guitar shop won't last a year. And that was like 18 years ago. I think honestly, it's just about, I think it's being different. I think my like ethos is being different. If I try to compete with like Andertons or somebody like big like that or GAC, it's dead in the water. So we have to be the antithesis of those companies, really. And I kind of want to be. I'm not in this business to make loads of money. If I wanted to make loads of money, I'll get into crypto, I get into banking, I'd be a lawyer. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for that kind of lifestyle. I don't think anybody who's in music is doing it to drive a Bentley. As nice as that would be.
Or if you are, you're in it for the wrong reason.
You're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just want to sell. The more successful we get, and the more that I push for this place to make more money, you're all only going to see it on the walls. You're not going to see me driving around in a Bentley. You're going to see
cool stuff.
You're going to see cool stuff on the walls, because I'm just going to go to like auctions, private sales to buy cool, interesting vintage stuff, buy interesting stuff from like Japan or America. Buying from interesting companies.
Mate, when there's a burst on that wall in a case, you'll know we've made it.
I'd much rather put like all of the money that we're on, all the profit that we make it into more cool guitars and just updating the place, making it cool. Like I don't need to. So some things aren't just about like making money and then creaming off the top, creaming off the top of it. You know what I mean? Some things are just not supposed to be like that. And guitar shops are one of them. They're just
one of the really cool things about the shop I was associated with is we had that niche market where we were specializing in the quirky stuff. We had like Harmony Bobcats, we had Dan Electros, we had Tyscos, I mean, I'm surrounded by some of the stuff that I have left, like old Grecos, Electras, all the Takai Hard Puncher stuff. Like, the Takai Hard Puncher bass was like a really cool copy of the P bass and J bass design. So I mean,
I've got a statement. If you guys ever get a burst on the wall, I'll be your work for Saturday free boy. Going to all the jobs around the shop.
I've funnily enough, I've actually been promised. I've been told by a customer, I don't know if it's true, that his grandfather had a burst, and it is in like the family something somewhere. It's like locked away, And I was
Yeah.
like, would you bring it in so we could like have a look at it? And he was
Authenticate
like,
it.
I'll see what I can do. Well, yeah, we could
Copy that.
authentic. I mean, like, I'm not a vintage expert by
There's a
any means.
lot of them that were
Yeah.
faked.
Well,
It's interesting. Like there was only a certain number made, but there's like 2,000 or 3,000 examples. Like it was in the low thousands that was made, like 1,700 maybe. And then there's supposedly like 2,000 or 3,000 that are supposed to be real. So
yeah. It's just one of them things, isn't it? It's the most coveted guitar.
well,
For no
there was
other reason than there was a lack of them.
I forgot what the guy's name was, but there was a guy that's notorious that was making exact copies that experts couldn't tell apart until they discovered like something that was just a slight variation of the tongue. Whenever he
Chris Derrick.
Is that
he
the
has
dude-
the smiley face on the
Slash,
tongue.
the Slash guitar.
the Slash guitar? Yeah, the Slash. Yeah, that he
But
died like really young, right? He
Yeah.
Yeah, but he produced I don't know how many and passed them off as real bursts.
Yeah.
Mate,
back when
there's loads of
bursts
people
were not
creating them.
worth a whole lot of money, back when they were like $4 or $5 grand is when he did it. So that's why there's so many that, and because the serial numbers, like sometimes you'll find 2 serial numbers identical and it's like, okay, which one's the real one?
Have you ever seen those old photos of like, I don't know, like Rudy's music in New York?
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Oh yeah.
And they got like 12 of them, and they're all up for like $3,000 or something. It's
I
like,
could have picked up a 58. I think it was beautiful. T-burst, PAFs, beautiful. Like it wasn't like a really like AAA top, but it was a really nice lazy curl for I think it was like 4,500 in 1991.
Sickening, isn't it?
Yeah,
I remember the early 2000s saying, I'm not paying £2,000 for a
that's what I was like.
Junior. I was like, get lost. That's way too much. And now
That's why I went and bought my Smith Strat for like $450. I was like, I'm not paying $4,000 for a Les Paul. Or they had a 57 Strat that was sunburst for like $2 grand. I was like, I'm not paying $2 grand for that old guitar. So little did I know when I was like,
I've got the world's most pointless vintage guitar. Check this out.
Oh, I mean, if you want to get into the vintage thing, it's nuts, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
It's crazy. The
My
price.
First guitar show as a vendor. I bought this for about 900 quid. It's a 1960 Melody Maker.
Nice, man.
It's a beauty.
Someone had put P90s in it, but someone had sprayed it black. And I literally, it had all crap hardware on it. So I like found originals. But I'd like hand took off this black rattle can spray paint. And that was underneath. I was like, why would you want to spray that? But this is my baby. Even though it had like the world's most annoying headstock, the short, whatever they are, short ones.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was what my 57 ES 125 3/4 had on it. The same headstock design.
Yeah. It used to annoy me, but now I like it because the strings are more straight over the nut.
Yeah.
So
that's what I noticed too. It gave you like a really good string angle.
But even they're going up in price. So a clean one's $5 grand, $4 grand.
Yeah.
Who's paying that?
Yeah.
Not me.
Honestly, I'm telling you now, the vintage guitar market is going to slowly go down over the next. I was just at an auction. I was at Gardner Holgate. Shout out to Luke and Chris. You know,
what's that place? Sorry,
Gardner Holgate. Gardner Holgate. I shouldn't tell you that because it's the more people I tell, the more people that I tell, the less deals there are. Yeah. I was at that place. You know, they've in their latest auction for December, they've got like 12 or 20 Candy Apple Red, you know, pre-CBS and
nice
era, like Bass 6, Telly, Jazzmaster, they've even got, which might be the only one in the world, a 5-string bass, Fender bass from 65, 66.
Yeah, it was a custom model. I think I have a picture of it in my bass book.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be.
I have a bass guitar book that I think
it's
it
Candy
has
Apple Red. It's probably that. Yeah,
I think it is. Yeah. Speaking of 63, this is my 63, one of 170 some mahogany body Strats that's been through probably every punk band, garage band. Was stripped down, spray painted like silver and green, routed out for humbuckers. It's been through war.
Guitar, you know, you got to use them.
I love it. It's got an 83 Japanese neck on it, so it feels just like a 63.
Someone had like played the finish off a 70s Strat, and I bought it sight unseen, mate, off the internet, because I was like, if you're going to play it enough to take the poly off a 70s Strat, it must be good.
It must be good.
But it turns out I hate Strat, so it's not good.
You hate that Strat. You haven't played the right Strat.
I just don't like. I'm short and fat, mate. I'm not built for the Strat. It's too long.
This auction, right? So they've got like 12, 20, whatever, candy apple red, or some of them in resprayed candy apple red. And then I was dropping some stuff off with Luke literally, I don't know, 5-6 hours ago. And I looked at him and he was like, yeah, there's more. And he like let me peek behind the curtain. He let me go and have a look. And honestly, there was a rack, like a rapid rack of another 30, 40 guitars, you know, like double bound tellies, one, with, you know, like they're all candy apple red. That's like, I mean, you got to have a hobby, right? Like
that's his thing.
Do something. But it's just insane. Like I can't imagine that these guitars will keep a value, because let's be honest, like we were talking about people before buying, you know, expensive pedals, expensive guitars. There's not the money there, but I could afford a vintage Jazzmaster at like £3,000. You know, I could stretch. I could
swing that. Yeah.
I could swing that, and it might like just slowly, because there's loads of kind of old dudes dying that have collected these things, and now they've got, you know, 40, 50 CPS.
Well, you know, back at that time in the early 2000s, when I was really full time being a luthier, most of my customers were baby boomers, and they were the guys that had the money. And like you said, a lot of them just had like a niche. Like there's one guy, he had nothing but arch tops, one of the most extensive arch top guitar collections I've ever seen. And one of the guitars I worked on for him was like one of 12, I think, Martins that were an arch top with a flat back. It was like a very like unique guitar that he just had to have it. And it came through the shop, and he had me do all the fretwork on it and fix any issues with it so he could play it. But I went to his house, and this was just one part of his collection. I think there were 40 different arch tops in there, mostly from like the 40s and 50s, like all Gibsons and, you know, Gretches. And that was his thing. And he's a doctor, so he could afford it.
Well, that's it. Do you guys have a specific set of things that you look for when you go into these auctions, or when you're looking at used guitars? Is there like, I don't know, for me, I'd be like, I feel the neck straight away if it's skinny neck or narrow more. I'm like, can't do it. I'm tapping out straight away.
I think spec-wise, probably not. Like, we're not too worried. Like, obviously, if something's got PAFs in it and it's going for like £100, yeah, man, give it here. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about like the fretwork on it, because at the end of the day, if it's anything that is like non-essential for the guitar, we can replace it. It's not the end of the world. But like, for instance, we had a 76 Strat that someone had resprayed in like this gloss black with like gold like sparkle.
Yeah.
And we went to go and look at it, and we were walking past it all day. You know, we went down to this auction. We probably spent a couple of hours down there walking past it all day. And then our friend Matt turned around and was like, you know, that thing in the corner that someone's, you know, with like that rosewood tree of life design on it. And me and Danny went, yeah, that horrible fucking thing. And he goes, you know, that's a sticker, right? And we sort of look at it and go, yeah, man, someone's just stuck like sticker. Because we were like, oh, it's just someone's redone the board on it with this horrible tree of life design. And so we go, oh, okay. And I think we didn't pick it up for it was a sensible chunk, but it wasn't extortionate for a 76. And we got it back, we stripped it down. So stuff like that, the stuff that like is old, but it's like someone's refinned it, or it's been rated for humbuckers, or it's, you know,
players grade.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's why because I kind of want to sell to players. You know what I mean? And I know that players can't buy a Mint 62, like, unless you're like either, you know, you got money, you know, family wealth or something like that, or you know, work a you know, crazy job, or
you have an artist agreement with your record label.
Or you're an artist, yeah, and you've got like a record contract.
One of my friends got signed with Band of Horses as their touring guitar player, and so he took me to a guitar shop or a guitar show, to select the rig that he was going to be using for their sound and everything. So, and he just had a budget that they gave him and said, "Here, go buy gear."
Yeah, and
it was his gear. So yeah,
that's the dream, boy. That's
the dream.
And then when he was on tour, he had a per diem, so he just saved all his per diem. He was really frugal. He didn't like spend a lot of money, and he saved all of his money up when they went to a really cool town with a music store. He'd just go buy gear. So
that's yeah. I mean that, you know, if you can get that kind of situation or something else, then that's, you know, that's what you want. But you know, most people, you know, have to play or have to buy like players grade kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of it, because you get it. To me, the thing the things that I care about are are the pots and the pickups original. Pickups more so, obviously, and is the wood original, and the rest of it, honestly, like most of it, you can change out, and it ain't really going to affect the tone and effect.
And in some cases, it upgrades it. Like
exactly,
you get a better replacement from what was the original design.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing that I liked about that guy that he didn't buy guitars just because they were like vintage or mint. He bought things that were playable. And he bought them for the tone. And so he wasn't looking to like spend, they told him he could buy whatever he wanted, but he was like spending $750 on a Dan Electro amp and case, a couple $1,000s on like a really cool, like baritone, things like that, stuff that fit his sound. So
made them Dan Electro amps are brilliant, by the way.
Oh, this is the amp and case guitar. The double pickup lipstick humbucker, like double cut, and it had the amp in the case. So it was a really cool, like little, like miniature tube amp that was inside the guitar case, and you just plugged it into the wall so you could show up at a gig and have your amp and your guitar all in one.
Do you have like a specific demographic in mind, i.e. a certain genre of music? For me, like I'm 100% blues rock boomer. If someone showed me the world's best PRS, I'm not choosing it, type thing. Do you have like a set? Because you said that you get quite a lot of, or you did get quite a few kids who are into heavy metal. Is there a set that you gravitate towards, like unconscious bias, maybe?
The thing that I've learned, over the last 3 years of because I've only really been running this place on my own since March, and before that I was running it with somebody else, and then before that I was part-time. But the thing that I've like slowly come to realize is you can't buy for your own taste, like everything, because I don't like heavy metal guitars. Like I don't like Jacksons and that, this guy does. He likes all that kind of stuff, which is great, because then I like weird old vintage stuff. I like Jake likes vintage stuff as well, but we're a good like yin and yang. We're a good good pairing because of our different the things that we're into, and like more digital stuff, more analog stuff, but yada yada. But you can't just buy for what you like. I mean, you maybe like 20, 30 years ago, you could fill a shop full of just stuff that you liked and just sat there. But I think you've got to be kind of a bit broader. So I have been getting more like shreddy type things in, and I just want them to be good guitars. I want people to come in and like, oh, that Strat, it plays really good, or it's really well priced. You know what I mean? It's not like they're not asking like $2,000 for something just because it's a bit vintage, just because they can see prices on Reverb. Like the most important thing, and I've had it from a couple of customers, is like, the prices are very fair. Like I really don't try and take the piss. I try and put them at proper market values, and that is not what is currently on Reverb and has been on there for 7 years. That is not the market value of an instrument. It's just not the market value of an instrument.
Yeah. It's handy that Reverb show you the sales prices as well.
Yes,
Well, I loved it when customers would come into the store with the vintage guitar price guide and say, "Look, right here, it's worth $175,000." I'm like, "Yeah, if it's in absolute pristine condition, and there's only 3 of those known to exist, and this is not one of them, and it's been this, and this. It's worth like maybe $700." I'm like, no, it says right here, here on the page. And you're like,
it's like watching Reverb or Facebook listings, and someone will be like rare with like 9 exclamation marks, and it's like, tell you,
if it was that rare, you wouldn't have to say that.
Exactly, you know it.
So if I was like a new customer that you never met before and I come in the shop, how do you approach like finding them the right guitar? Because for pedals, it'd be easy. They describe a sound, say what gear they use and they like, and how they use it. Maybe guitar's volume, maybe they put their overdrives after something or whatever, and then I could use my past knowledge to know what pedal they're after. But what about you guys? Because guitars are so wide, varying, and it's like feel, and how'd you go about like interrogating someone to get that information?
Got a freaking mosquito bothering me, guys. Yikes. Sorry about the wild gyrations over here.
So if I come in and if I come in and say, I'm into like blues guitar, Bonamassa's my hero, for example, a bit of money but not loads of money,
I think in an instance like that, like there's a couple of things that we like to look for with people. And obviously the first one is like, who are you into? Like, who are you listening to at the moment? What's the sound in your head that you're trying to get to? And that'll give you like a ballpark. The price guide is really handy as well. But we kind of work with like, there's like a couple of points, right? How does it play? How does it sound? How does it look? And then can I afford it? Right. And that's like the order we work down in. Like if you pick up something and it's gorgeous and it plays right, but it's like a little bit out of budget, well, like, you know, finance exists. We can figure something out. Like if you need to part X, like don't worry about the price of it. That's like later on down the line. The first thing is, does it feel right in your hands? Because if you can afford it, but it's a dog and you never want to pick that guitar up ever again,
but it looks cool.
Yeah. That's not helping anybody, is it? And so like we'll pick stuff out off the wall. And like one of the things that we also like to do is like we'll go with like roughly what people sort of describe, and then we'll chuck in like a wild card. And that'll be like something that me and Danny have like looked at over the last couple of weeks and gone, oh, that's kind of cool. Or that like there's one on the wall at the moment, like Matthew Carter, that I absolutely adore. Anyone that comes in asking for an acoustic, I just put it in the hands. Because I'm like, I think it's incredible. It's one of the best guitars I've ever played. I think it's amazing. And if I think it's good, chances are something like
what is it?
So Matthew Carter, so he goes under Elysian Guitars now, but before he was Elysian, he was Matthew Carter. And it's just cedar top, walnut, back and sides, just plays great.
Just a handmade Luthier guitar, you know, like a handmade guitar. It's just really, and it's kind of worn because it's probably 20 years old, maybe even older.
Played in really nicely then.
It's just played in nice, and it doesn't look like, you know, Trigger. You know, it's not like, but it's like, you know, it's got like a bit of wear to it. Yeah,
I actually worked on a guitar for somebody that looked like Trigger because of like their playing style. They had like worn holes through the top, and it looked so cool. I had to photograph it and document it. Like,
yeah. I mean, it tells you everything, doesn't it? It tells you everything.
It's my friend Jason. He's a mad musical genius. He's the one want to get to test my pedals and demo them for me, just because he's one of those guys that can play anything. He was a artist relations guy for Moog Music for a long time. So Jason Daniello. Shout out, Jason. You're one of my favorite musicians.
So on that line of thought, have you ever what's like
the critters are coming out? There's a spider, man.
No, you're living in the wrong area.
I'm living in the south of the southeast United States in the mountains. What do you expect? It's freaking tropical rainforest here, or temperate rainforest anyway.
You want to come to sunny Portsmouth? It's lovely outside today.
I was thinking of even going further south down to Florida, you know. But only if I get that job we were talking about. We'll see.
Well, what's like the most U-turn of a sale you've ever made? So like someone come in and said, "Oh, I'm into Blues Boomer guitar," and left with something with a with like a wild gem. Have you ever had any of them?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. What, like someone's come in and they're like, "Oh, I really want a classical guitar," and then they buy a bass.
Yeah, like you've given them the wild card, and they've gone, "Well, actually, this is the wrong scale length, wrong everything." But it's amazing.
It does happen. I do kind of pride myself on asking a load of questions and then seeing what we've got, picking, and then that being the guitar that they pick in the end. Like we'll go through another 10 guitars, and I've done it probably about 4 times, and I'm always really proud of myself because you can do it if you're listening to what they want. You know, I want an acoustic guitar with like a cutaway and blah blah blah. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of like absolute U-turns. Nothing's like poking out of my memory, but it has happened where because customers have definitely gone, "Oh, I really didn't think I'd like this." You know, people like hate like PRSs or hate Strats or whatever, and then like, I really want a telly. I suppose the opposite to that is loads of people that buy stuff online or buy stuff because they always wanted an SG. I'm thinking of a guy specifically right off the top of my head, and this guy, and he always wanted an SG. It was always like really, really cool. And then he persisted with it for just over a year, and then he was like, "No, man, I want." And then he said, "Oh, what I really want is a Strat because I like John Frusciante." And then he bought a telly instead.
You bought a telly instead. Oh, there you go.
Honestly,
that's a
don't know
360-degree user in there.
John had a Sunburst telly as well.
He did.
I asked because I did something similar. I went to Denmark Street and I was like, I got enough money to buy a nice acoustic some years ago. And I had it in my head that I wanted a drop shoulder Dreadnought, but a Gibson. And I ended up buying this Gibson, even though it felt nowhere near the best. And the guy gave me a Faith acoustic guitar. It's like this cedar top. And it was the best guitar ever, and it was cheaper, and I didn't buy it because it wasn't a Gibson. And then I ended up selling a Gibson and buying one of them Faiths in the end.
Yeah, there you go.
It was so good, and it was in my mind.
But this is why guitar shops are so integral, because if you buy online because you've always wanted one, like we've all done it, right? We're all guitarists, we all have the gas, and like you'll buy it because it's like the right thing, but you've never played it. Yeah. You've never even tried that model of guitar before, and it's like, oh, I want a Les Paul because they're light. Who the hell gave you that impression? Yeah, man. It's like the guy that came in recently, and he was like, he was sat down with this guitar, and he was like, "Oh, how much does it weigh?" And I was like, "Well, it's in your hand." You're like, "You tell me." What does your knee tell you? What does it feel like? You know.
So I've just bought a Les Paul, funnily enough, sight unseen, of course, at a 74 Les Paul custom, because it was from Jordan Guitars, but it was his own guitar, and I bought it because someone had hollowed it out. So it's not a boat anchor or anything. And I took a risk on that just because it had changed parts on and it was a bit cheaper. But I've always wanted a black Les Paul.
I'm not like completely against online selling. We don't do it because, you know, we don't get the volume of sales where like we would offset. Like, for instance, my returns rate is less than 1%. And I like it that. I like it like that. It also proves to me that like I'm doing the right thing. I'm selling the guitars that people like. And like I said before, like I'm not trying to make loads of money. Like I'd rather make less money and be the right sale instead of just like smashing stuff through, like, you know, the big online retailers do. Like I don't want to sit here and be all sour grapes and be all like, you know, oh, everything's got to be independent, because it doesn't. But I think we just need to kind of just think about guitar shops again, and think about the thing is, once I'm gone, and once, you know, the other independents that are, you know, in a 50-mile radius, everyone's just going to have to go to, and, you know, in the US, in India, like wherever you are, if you're going to have to travel to like a major city to buy a guitar, or if you're going to have to buy every guitar sight unseen because you just can't go. And if you're not going to travel 45 minutes, well, you ain't going to travel 2 hours and 45 minutes to go to London. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm on a bit of a campaign, I got to admit, like of trying to get people to, I think just all this stuff that's happened over the last 25 years with like the digital stuff, with the internet, I feel like the pendulum has swung and we've gone like, oh, online, buying stuff online. And that's great. I bought a fridge online.
It's great.
It's a fridge. It's a fridge. If it's a fridge, you know what I mean? I literally bought it like 2 days ago. Oh, I should say, you know, my girlfriend's parents bought it for me. But, you know, and it turned up and it's all fine, but it's a fridge. Like does it turn on? Is it cold? Yeah, great. But a guitar is so personal. It's why, you know, you questioned before, you know, do you buy stuff like skinny neck? Well, no, because you got to buy everything, because everyone's got, you know, I like C-shaped necks. Yeah. But if this guy likes D shape and this guy likes a vaulted neck and this guy, so you've got to kind of have a bit of a catch-all, and you've got to kind of rotate your stock and have some interesting bits, some higher end bits, but obviously lower end bits for people that, you know, don't have tons of money budget, or are young and can't buy like an American Strat for the first guitar. So yeah, you got to have like a wide ranging thing. But I really am on the drive to kind of say to people, look, guitar shops, we got to keep them going, because once they're gone, we're going to be like, look, Jeff Bezos is not going to open a guitar shop when he owns the rest of the world. He's not going to open a guitar. He's not going to do it. So we just got to support, you know, your local places. I know not everyone's going to come to us, because, you know, if you live in the
next, I'm gonna try and hold down Western North Carolina out on my land in Madison County. Because places out there, there's still like the ability to get like little shop fronts and stuff for decent prices, and so that's my end goal. And I just have been waiting for my house to sell, and it has finally sold. I'm here to announce it, like free and clear. Yeah, the check was deposited. We'll start being able to get some of the money out tomorrow, and so yeah, it's awesome.
And that's epic.
Yeah, it has been such a long, crazy journey. I mean, last year when we were doing the podcast, you know, I thought I had it sold, and then Hurricane Helene came through, and like 3 days before the final signature on the closing, and it shut down all real estate transactions. The people that were buying it, like, they got wiped out of all their properties, and so they couldn't afford to buy it anymore, and it was nuts. So yes, rock on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, mate, do you know what I think about guitar sales as well? Like what you've just been saying is, how many people bought a guitar online, were sort of interested in playing, but because the guitar was a bit crap, they just didn't carry it on.
Yeah,
and then that's someone who in 10 years' time could have been buying the 15 guitars or the massive pedal collection or starting a band.
Yeah.
And how many of them people have slipped through our collective nets because there wasn't the personal touch? And I have a similar thing about pedals. Like, I would hate it that someone's like, oh, this pedal's crap, I want to send it back to you. That blows my mind. There's plenty of times, I don't know, I know Dan Minch is in the chat. There's loads of times he's come to me and said, what pedal am I buying? And I'll give him a different brand. Or I'll say, this is what you want to buy because I know what you've got. I don't always say buy one of mine because sometimes it's not the right thing. And it's so good that you see like guitar shops, especially when sales are hard to come by now, that are just trying to shill a guitar. It's real refreshing. Yeah, I like it.
Again, I think that's a really like fair thing because we've got people that come in here and they'll be asking after like this or that. And usually what it is someone will come in and they're looking for a Fender, right? We're not a Fender dealer. You know, I've got Fenders on the walls. They're cool, right? We've got some really cool, like we've got 65 Telly up at the moment. Absolutely stunning. We've got that 76 I was talking about. Absolutely amazing. But
and that JV double bound candy apple red one.
You can't have it.
I know. The one that you got, man.
Yeah,
You got a great guitar because I've worked on some of those from the 90s too. There was one that my friend Dave McConnell had, and it was like all nice and relicked out because it had been played hard. And yeah.
But this is it. You know, if you're looking for a Fender and someone comes through the door and they've got their mindset on it and that's what they want because they've played it somewhere else or whatever. It's like, well, I'm not being funny. Like, I might not be the person to sell it to you. I can show you what we've got on the walls and like I could offer you something different. But if that's what your heart's set on, mate, Guitar Bits down in Bath. They're lovely and they're sweet dudes. Yeah. You know, if you're looking for something a little bit more like traditional or you know, like a little bit more folky, you've got Hobgoblin down in Bristol. Like it's about, and this is the thing, it's a community, right? Like it's not just us. It's, you know, it's the guys up in Inverness. It's the guys down in, you know, Devon. And if all of us as shops know each other and not, you don't have to know everyone's stock off by heart, but if you get an idea for like what people are into, it's like, mate, I don't know the first thing about Jackson's. Ibanez, love them to bits, don't know anything. But you know what I do know? I know that if you go a couple of towns over, you know, a guy down over there knows everything about them and then some. It's like if you have like a community.
Yeah, that was really cool about the small shops that, you know, I was part of in Asheville. Like same thing, like, you know, there would be a guy that like he always got the Jackson, Charvel, the Shredder guitars, and somebody'd come in looking for that, like, hey, you know, we've got this kind of stuff, but this guy down the road, he's got some really cool stuff like what you're looking for. And then he'd do the same thing for us. And, you know, if somebody came in and he like took something in on a trade that he knew would sit on his wall for years, but we could sell fast, he'd come trade us something. So yeah, it's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, and if you're all small indies, there's no competition because it's like, well, if I can't sell you something, I'd rather that the person that you do buy it from is also in the same boat as us and is like, you know, also just trying to make a go of it.
It's not like us versus Guitar Bits in Bath, who's like, you know, a bigger shop, and you know, it's us together versus like Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? And that's the way that I kind of think of it.
I think people don't realize how small the margins are. So I've had like a couple of offers to put my pedals in shops, like bigger shops. I just can't do it because the margin that they take, I'm basically working for free. You know, it's so crazy how like thin, especially on something like a guitar, because you're taking a risk when you buy it because it may sit on your wall for however long. You know? And so how's the footfall through the door? Is it been consistent with, you know, over the last? Because I feel like my website's getting more views with less sales, which is why I ask. So if I look at the back end, I see maybe twice as many people click on the site and have a little look, but then there's less sales just over the last.
A lot more window shopping going on, probably.
It's almost like people want to buy, but the skin.
But there's, like they want to see how the chips fall and see like if, you know, there's going to be, you know, money for food, money for rent, you know, that kind of thing before they go spending money on gear. It's just. You start getting prioritized. The guy
who goes onto eBay and Reverb and Marketplace every 10 seconds to see if there's
we all do it. Yeah, we all do it. Yeah. Just I use Reverb as a bellwether to see what the industry's doing because I reckon vintage guitars going down is definitely a buyer's market at the moment, and it will continue to be.
100%.
You know, I already have my eye on two things that I'm thinking about going to get tomorrow. One or the other, either a 5-string bass or a burst Les Paul. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's a wildly different set of instruments, mate.
It's because I have a wildly different set of skills. I'm a drummer, guitar player, bassist, woodwind artist.
I can barely tell if my guitar's in tune.
You don't make a tune pedal, do you?
That's what iStrobe soft on the phone is for.
I just have a problem with it. Sit down to practice, and I'm like, if I tweak the input cap, I could get a little bit of a.
That's my problem too. Like,
an hour later, I've played like no guitar whatsoever. I can't do it.
I won't play like longer than 5 or 10 minutes until like I hit something in the pedal chain that like gets me, and then it's like, oh, there it is.
So Dan Minch has just put this on. Market can go down after my Greco sells. He's got this 74, same year as my Strat Greco.
Oh,
335.
Yeah, that's
like
a beautiful guitar.
It's a red one, and the fretboard's like got a real nice streaking in it. It's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same price pretty much as my.
I've worked on one that was branded Orville from the Orville brand from the same factory for one of my customers, and it actually went through 3 different people's hands, and they all 3 brought it to me for different adjustments at different times. Eventually, it ended up with bare knuckle pickups in it and Evo fret wire. So,
oh wow,
we've got a 79 in at the moment. So we got a commission sale Gibson 79 Gibson. And then we've also got a Greco, which I just purchased at the same time that I've got the JV. It's, you know, a guy, that video will be coming out, you know, in a week or 2. And it's one of the super reels, you know, the super reels, 1980 only, and then the other collections like a little bit later. Honestly, man, that era, that 79 to about 84 or in Japan, like they're still undervalued. They're still undervalued.
Incredible.
Like, I mean, even at gas station guitars, like you can buy a mint one of those for like 2,400. Honestly, I would put that up against a custom shop Strat, and you can. Do
you guys watch Dunzee's Guitar World on YouTube? So he buys Japanese old Japanese guitars and buys like 3 at a time, and then reviews them on. Fantastic. We had him on the podcast recently.
Yeah, he was a guest before last week.
So
mate,
he was showing this telly with wide range humbuckers and so whatever. It was what was it? Aria sounds. Anyway, it was from like the 70s. Fantastic. And you're thinking there's bargains to be had there. I definitely look in the Japanese market. I'm just scared of the shipping.
It's not too bad. We've done it a couple of times. Well, we've done it once, and I'm about to do it again. So you know, if you do pop down, you'll be able to see a few bits. You know, we got a Greco. We've also got a Bernie. You've got to be careful with the Japanese stuff. Because obviously, you know, you're buying from Japan, and there's all that kind of risk, and you know, sight unseen. Well, sight unseen in another country is something else. You know, there's all the taxes, so you've got to bake all that into your costs when you purchase things. But it's also, you know, if you buy like a JV Strat, there wasn't just one type. They, especially like the Grecos, there was like, you know, an EG 400, EG 650, and the higher it went in the same way.
1000s are like the good ones, aren't they?
Yeah, 1000, 1200. Like with the Tokais, it was LS50.
I had the EG 800. That was my favorite Les Paul style guitar I've ever owned. It was the 80s.
Yeah, they're
killer.
Crazy.
Neck. I mean, still had the original pickups in them, and I put them against vintage Les Pauls, and because we had some, you know, that we had access to in the studio, and people were like, I can't tell the difference. And it played better than the vintage Les Paul. It was like the best feeling neck.
Yeah. This was because even at the time they were beating Gibson and Fender.
They were. That's why the lawsuit happened.
Yeah.
That's the reason of the lawsuit.
And it's like Danny said something in a video a while ago that's kind of become my parroting for, you know, people that come in and talk about Japanese guitars. And it's always like, it's crazy, isn't it? You know, the guys that make absolutely amazing electronics, absolutely amazing cars, they also made cracking guitars. You know, like,
why are we surprised?
Well, it's the Japanese mentality too, the way they reverse engineered everything. They got original prime examples that were known for their quality of these guitars, and they reverse engineered everything, unwound the pickups, and then designed machines to rewind the pickups exactly the same way that crazy scatter winding happened. I mean, they're obsessive. They made the Messerschmitt 262 go supersonic, so that tells you something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the other part that I don't know if I've never seen it on forums and stuff, but the other thing, I'll grab a prop. I'll be right back. So
I actually made it to Japan. My ship, when we were based out in like the South China Sea for 9 months, and we pulled into Japan, but they just locked the country down for COVID, so I couldn't get out to any of the guitars.
Oh shit!
Like no.
Oh man, that is painful. That is painful.
I was like that far away from getting to Tokyo.
I'd love to go. Like Jake's been.
I love it. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my bucket list places to go. Is Japan.
Well, my 6-year-old wants to go. She's like, you would say, where do you want to go on holiday? Japan. Like, what?
Yeah,
what 6-year-old chooses Japan?
It's so clean, and the people are just love it. And I mean, I'm a big foodie. The food's if you ever get the chance, just do it.
Yeah,
I love sashimi as well, and I'm massive fan.
And I love anime. I mean, I grew up watching like anime when I was a kid before anybody knew what anime was, because we had the cable TV shows where they would show Speed Racer, and they would rebrand other like Japanese shows, and like Lupin the Third, they'd call it something else, and then they would have what was it, the thing with the giant ship. They like had the giant sailing ship that would go through space and shoot a cannon.
You're losing
Star
me,
Blazers. That's what it was. Star Blazers.
Knowledge is bad. I teach a 12-year-old who's obsessed, but yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't have TV when I was a kid. It was like, look, it's not raining, get out the house. Let's stick you full screen, mate. What's the guitar?
So I've done a YouTube video about this. This is mine. This is a Gaito, and it's an LG 60.
Oh, sweet.
But you know, this is a good example. You know, so this is 1959, right? Wow. And I can't remember exactly when the Japanese guitar. I think it was like the late 40s after the war, like 47, 48, something like that. So you got to think, let's call it 1950. They started making guitars like, when Leo Fender was taking out making the broadcaster and the Telecaster and the Squire and all that. So those guys that ended up making the lawsuit era, the Grecos and all that kind of stuff, they'd been building these, because this is a copy, right? So this is a copy of like a Supro. So like the David Bowie Supro, or the one that was on the like Link Ray album. So what's really funny about this guitar is my favorite part is that, which is the truss rod cover.
Just a second, mate. Let me full screen you.
So look at that truss rod cover. It's kind of fun, isn't it? Yeah. Kind of a cool shape. Apart from it's not got a truss rod. Because they just saw, they had a picture, right? So they had pictures, and they spent from 1950 to 1975, say, building these guitars just via pictures and maybe some examples. Then by 78, 79, when they got the blueprints, and like you were saying, they were reverse engineering these things. They were insane. And they had like old growth woods and stuff, and they had like really Brazilian rosewood for the
some of the Brazilian rosewood that I found on the fingerboards of my Teisco collection was just like, man, this stuff is like super tight grained. I mean, and when you take the old crappy frets out, you take the old crappy frets out and you put in good frets and level it out, and you make it playable, they become like something of a unique instrument. A lot of the guys that I've worked on them for, they use them in the studio. They're like secret weapons. They'll have like a Spectrum 4 or something like that. And
like, what were them pickups? They looked insane.
They're basically a magnet wrapped with wire stuck inside of a little metal case, made to look like a humbucker. It's all window dressing.
It is. What do they sound like?
Craptacular, man. They sound great.
That one's not amazing, but I've got a I've got it in the case. I've got a Teisco. It's called an S4DL. I'll go and grab it in a second. And they're the gold foils that Roy Cooder uses on his Cooder.
Okay.
And they sound super good. They sound super.
So they like thinner, is it, than a normal?
You'd be surprised they're not.
Yeah.
Stuff like yeah. One sec. I'll grab mine. One sec.
Yeah, I got a mate who reworked the Strat and put some of them things in, much like yours, John.
Oh yeah,
it sounded good.
It's the best way to do it, dude.
Those pickups sound amazing. Those gold foil like that. That particular set sounds amazing. At one point I thought
Look
about
at that.
yeah, that's one of the 4s. Those things are awesome.
Mate, look at them switches on it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I gig
love-
this thing. Like I play
yeah.
like in a blues band and I gig it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's class.
Let's see. Yeah, this
So
one.
what's the neck like on it? I always
this is
imagine
the-
them to be really narrow.
This is the one I've got.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Was it a
nuts.
Starway, is it?
It's a 64. I don't know what they branded it as. Some people call it the Melody Maker, but I don't see the Melody Maker at all. It's got the giant T with the Greek lettering.
Yeah, so this is branded like an Orbit 4. So the necks are kind of thick because some,
Yeah, oh yeah, this one too. It's like a baseball bat.
because they didn't have truss rods in them. Some had truss rods and some didn't.
This says steel reinforced neck on it, but I don't know how much. Well, actually, no, it has a truss rod. It's got a wheel adjuster at the bottom. I forgot.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
That one's in the
Tysco
shop.
twins. The Tysco twins. Yay.
It's not mine, I wish.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
man.
one's for sale in the shop, and that's branded Tysco, so it's probably originally from Japan. Whereas this is branded Orbit 4. So they were like in America, they were called like.
Oh, they made like
stuff,
8 or
right?
9 different house brands for people. They had the airline contract. They had the Silvertone contract for a while.
The King's.
I was going to say they remind me of
The-
like the Silvertone Dan Electric
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, they
they're
even
like-
made some of the Ks, and they made some of the harmonies too. There were harmonies and Ks that were made by the Tysco factory
So, and
during the
which
70s.
then turned into Kawai.
Mhm.
And then so the Kawai version of this guitar is kind of famous because it was used by Hound Dog Taylor.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think it's an S.
Yep. I know the one you're talking about.
180 or something like that.
And it's got the really cool anodized pick guard with the stripes on it and everything.
Yeah.
It's funny to me as well.
They're getting
'cause-
expensive now as well.
Yeah, they're starting. I had to spend like 700 quid on that, which is a lot of money for a crappy
Mhm.
old.
Oh, yeah.
guitar.
It really is. They went up in value. I used to pick them up for like $100. Sometimes I got them for free. People said, "You want this?
Yeah.
You work on guitars. You want this? Oh,
Nice.
sure.
How much-
Yeah, I'll take it off your hands."
How much is the price rise? How much is the price rise down to the pickups becoming valuable and fashionable
Well,
compared to the guitar?
well, that's what
Yeah.
I've done with that one. I've valued it at 800 quid because I basically 200 quid per pickup, 246, and then 200
Mhm.
quid for the body.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair price because if you got like Mojo or like Lola, these guys make copies of those. I met Lola might not, but like Curtis Novak or whatever, Novak.
Yeah.
Those guys, they make copies and they're 200 quid or 200 bucks, so
You can have a set of originals.
you can have a set of originals, but
and
you've
3 of
got to
them.
like take them out of the guitar, you know what I mean?
Mhm. And then you got to deal with
Well,
the fact that the lacquer on the wire could have corroded. Like,
Yeah.
I've had to rewind so many of those pickups. I mean, so I make them too. Like, it's such an easy pickup to make.
I've never
really
seen
is.
the inside of them. I wouldn't want to mess with the inside. I'm not like an electronics guy.
Well, see, I've had to. I've like had to go inside of them because they quit working, and so the person wanted the pickup rewound, and that's how I said it's just like a whole bunch of wire wrapped into a loop, wrapped in tape, insulating tape, and stuck around a magnet and slapped inside of that case with gold foil over it.
Well,
I mean,
the myth of vintage being better than everything, and say like the gold foils going up in value, it kind of ruins the sales of them. Like some of the old transistors I use, I have to bump the pedal up so much to stop
Mhm.
someone buying a pedal, cutting the transistor out, putting something else in, and then selling that
the treadle.
separately.
Yeah.
You've got to bump up the price, and it kind of makes it unobtainium for no reason. It's
Yeah.
mad.
Well,
And I'm complaining, but then there's me looking on Reverb and buying a really expensive pedal with that transistor in because I'm like, oh, look at that. So
Well,
I'm
it's
part
a-
of the problem.
the same thing that makes the old transistors like so valuable and so unique is the fact that they were made to such poor tolerances, and there's all these inconsistencies in them that give us these quirky sounds that we love.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that the gold foils sound so good, is because some person like wrapping a whole bunch of magnet wire around in a loop in a coil, wrapping it in tape, and then sticking that around a bar ceramic magnet. There's all kinds of variations in there, and that's why it's so hard to get that sound out of like your typical Strat or any other kind of single coil. I saw people like coming in spending thousands of dollars trying to get the Sonic Youth sound, and then I finally handed them a harmony and said, "Here, play this," and they played it, and they're like, I spent $4,000 on guitars trying to find this, and it's only $700. I was like, yep.
The thing that people forget a lot about like all those guitarists was that they weren't playing stupidly expensive shit because
because they couldn't afford it.
Local guitar store and going, what's the cheapest piece of crap on the store?
Because I'm gonna put it through hell.
Exactly.
It might not survive the next show.
Yeah. It's the funny thing about, to me, like Jags and Jazzmasters, because I quite like Jazzmasters. Those guitars were like
you couldn't give them away.
You couldn't get not almost.
Nobody wanted them because
nobody wanted them, and then
they weren't the cool thing to be playing after the surf craze died.
Yeah, and so you got into like the late 70s, you get like Elvis Costello, and then into the 80s you get like Sonic Youth and people like that, and then
the 90s, Dinosaur Jr.
Dinosaur Jr. Yeah, of course, and then
Jay Mascis brought the coolness factor back up.
But they were pawn shop guitars, right? You'd pick them up in a pawn shop for like $150, right?
Oh yeah.
And because nobody wanted them, even though they were the premium Fender guitar and they were more expensive than Strats and Tellys, they were never bad guitars. It's just
the perception.
It was just the perception of it.
It was the same way with Jaguars and Mustangs too. Like you could pick those up all day long for a few $100.
Yeah, try and find.
Now they're thousands now, 20,000 for some of them.
Try and find like an old airline, like
the
Jack White one for like less.
Well, the Rezo Glass ones, that one went to like $2,000-$3,000 whenever he made them famous.
Yeah. Well, more than that, how cool is that red guitar though? Try and find one of them with the same shape headstock that he's got.
Yeah.
Well, they did make some reproductions of them though. Like he did a signature model.
Yeah. Well, you can get the older 6-in-a-line ones, but the 3-a-side headstock version is near non-existent. You can't even find them for sale.
I saw one for sale in the UK recently, and I think it was the 3-a-side head. But the cool thing about it is it was in a cream color, but he wanted £3,000. So
the thing is, they require a lot of maintenance too. The bodies deteriorate. That resin is not stable. Oh yeah, no. People don't understand. Like fiberglass resin has a shelf life. It eventually turns to powder.
It's like all the guys that made like Bakelite necks. It's like, who's laughing now? Like who still has a Bakelite neck on an old? It's just not a thing,
And if
I tell you one thing though, Bakelite knobs feel better than any other material.
Yeah, they last forever.
Something about them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what. Do you know what amazes me in the military? Everything is made of Bakelite, like the phones, everything,
it's
because
tough.
in a fire it reacts really well. Yeah, it's quite tough.
It'll take a beating too. It takes the abuse.
But then when you look at the price tag on them, like a handset for the phone is like $4,000. Something stupid there. It's ridiculous.
That's because there's one person in the world that still makes it, and they have They have a corner on the market. Like it's supply and demand.
But it makes me wonder, like, why aren't we seeing someone reproducing that and then selling them at, you know what I mean? Like a guitar brand using the right material.
Well, it requires formaldehyde in the process, and it can be quite toxic. So there's a lot of environmental regulations that come into play as to why to do it at scale.
You could buy some, I think. I think there's a German company that does like radio knobs and stuff.
Crazy parts.
No,
crazy parts.
Well,
there's a few people that do knobs and stuff, but like for the bigger stuff, like knobs are not as.
Well, I was just thinking like the bit. I was thinking more along the lines of someone like Gibson, or do you know what I mean? They're not mass producing these.
The thing is, the reproductions cost the same as the vintage. Like you're either going to pay $25 for a vintage Bakelite knob, or you're going to pay $25 for the reproduction Bakelite knob. Take your pick.
Well, the knobs on my Melody Maker cost me something like 250 quid, and they were reasonably priced compared to some that I found. It's only that I made.
I mean, I'm going off old prices too. That's the last time I checked Bakelite vintage prices versus Bakelite new. That's been probably a decade or two ago.
They're not. I think they're CAB or something like that. It's whatever material smells like sick. They're terrible. That's not so bad.
Have you guys seen that company in Canada? They're called like Realistic Relics.
Yeah, so I've never used any of their stuff, but they're all over Reverb, like heavily on Reverb.
Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of Real Relics. Do you do lots of guitar bodies and stuff like that?
No, it's all parts. It's all parts. I've got a telly build that will feature in one of our videos at some point. that I ordered a while ago. And I'm going to try and get all the pots to be realistic. And then me and Jake can do a video like who's got the better double bound telly.
Yeah.
An original.
Oh, wow.
Or your copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really fond of the vintage reproduction parts that Goto makes. Like they're spot on for their reproduction parts on things.
Their tuners are quite good, but have you ever seen Fake 58 tuners?
No, that's new to me.
Here in the UK. Mate, they are, I can't be bothered getting my guitar out the rack, but they do the shrunken head tuners, to the point where Joe Bonamassa uses them to replace his vintage guitar tuner.
Okay, wow.
So,
and they reproduce the off gassing of the plastic, so it's shrunk into this like little off kidney shape, and is about to crumble in your fingers.
Yeah, but
how stupid is that? I mean, come on.
Hey,
fuck you, Joe Bonamassa.
Hey, if you sprinkled a little vintage dust on there, I'd pay a bit more as well.
Honestly, your tone increases by 50 points when you use that.
Yeah.
And for this month only, any pedal that I sell before I put the top on, I'll spray a bit of vintage air in there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it sound better.
It reminds me of those.
I'll go capture a few like vintage farts from some old blues guys in the case. Close it real quick, and you'll get the mojo.
There was some like woman from the Cotswolds that was selling air to Chinese people.
Really?
And you would like it came in like
that was when the air pollution was so bad. They were selling like canned air. I remember.
Yeah.
We've all seen Spaceballs, right? I'm pretty sure.
That's yes. Right? Spaceballs, the movie. Spaceballs,
the thing is, I'm the idiot who buys this stuff. I'm laughing at it, but I'd still, if you said to me, you want this guitar part that's new and will work perfectly, or do you want this old guitar part that you're gonna have to fight with your whole life? I'm picking the old one. I can't help it.
In a past life, Joe was the guy that was buying like pieces of sacred relics that were being sold by traveling.
100%. I've got a train wreck amp that I built just in front of me here, and the output transformer is a A470 from an old hi-fi unit, and it's the same one that Ken Fisher used in his original train wrecks. I don't care. I paid more than my house for that transformer. And it's probably no different to any other transformer because it's from the right year with the right wire. And
now transformers do make a big difference, man. I am a stickler for like a good quality transformer and amp. It's like where everything else comes from. If you have a bad transformer, you're going to have a bad amp, no question.
You can get good reproductions, right? But
yeah,
there's just something about knowing. Like I've got a Fender Showman. I put a video out. It used to belong to Alan Rogan. It's like a '64 blonde Showman. But when I opened it up, someone had put all orange drop caps in it, and my heart sank, and I just can't live like that. So I bought for $80 a cap, all blue molded caps, and put them back in. But I did a sound sample before and afterwards using like a wiretap to play the music. So it's all the same, and there's a massive difference.
Well, that's the kind of thing too, because that really affects tone. Like tone capacitors in an amplifier.
The comments on that video are like, "You're mad," and it doesn't make a difference. You just
it does. I've had enough experience to know that it does. There are certain things that it's worth doing, and there's other things where it's just like, yeah, you're just doing that for the sake of doing it. But there are things that it makes sense. So
there's so many instances as well where I see people and like we'll put out videos, or like I say we like the Amalgus, guitarists will put out videos, and it's like, can I tell a difference in the audio? No, but when I play it, does it feel different to play? God, yes.
Yeah.
Well, so I have this all the time online because this is one of my builds, and people will say things like, "Oh, it doesn't make any difference why you're using these big components." And like, it makes a difference because when I put the back on, I know that in there, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
If I feel good, I'm going to play better because I feel good. And if I play better, it sounds better because I'm playing better.
The thing that bothers me about all these sound comparisons, and anytime anybody's like posting anything, it's like, you can never get the true difference from listening to it on a recording. You have to be in front of the cabinet with the air moving and the electron field around you in order to be able to tell the difference. Any live musician would tell you that. You cannot get it through your phone, through headphones, because it's going to
what you can do is find a creator online that you trust, and like for me, it's that pedal show.
Yeah,
I know
and
that
they
if
can
Dan-
tell you. Yeah,
if
they can
Dan
tell you.
like something generally,
Yeah.
I'm going to like it. If Mick likes it, I'm probably not going to like it.
Yeah, because they're in a room listening to it through speakers and giving you their reaction in real time as to what they're feeling from it.
This brings another interesting subject that I ask most guests on the show as well. Is there an amp and a specific like lick that you play when you're testing out gear? Because for me, I've got my Victory V40 down there, and I've used my Melody Maker, and I play like ZZ Top, Brown Sugar, the first lick, and that. But I can tell everything about a pedal, an amp, a guitar, whatever, just by playing that one lick. And if you listen to Monty's guitars, he like rakes the string with his fingers. That's his little test. Do you have like a certain idiosyncrasy that you'll do that can tell you everything about?
Yeah, I mean, you know what, I will hold my hands up in the air. I've only recently come back to tube amps. I've been playing a Cortex for ages. Hey man, I'm back in the fold now, I promise. I got a Fender DeVille, the 410, the Tweed. Stunning. Absolutely love it. I paid sod all for it, and I'm so happy about it.
Nice.
But it's that and the intro lick to Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. Because if you dig in, you can tell how the pickups are going to react from like the get-go. Like you hit that low string hard, and you go, "Yeah, this is a good guitar." And if it doesn't do that for me, I'm like, "Nah, put it back on the shelf. It's not right."
I don't really have a lick, but I should. I don't know. I guess I see like guitars and amps and stuff as like genre based. I kind of like look at it kind of maybe slightly differently. You know what I mean? Like for instance, like a big arch top. I think either jazz or I think like early rock and roll. The funny thing that with like capacitors and amps and all this kind of stuff, and especially if you get into vintage and you get like pre-64, most people use flat wound strings. Now that's the only thing that I never really see when people are talking about vintage stuff. And yeah, admittedly, if you're more like into Joe Bonamassa and like bluesy stuff, you're going to be thinking of Hendrix and Cream. So they would have been on round wounds. But if you're thinking of like vintagey tones, and it's the thing that I never see people change. They're like, oh, I've got the right amp and I've got the right guitar and I've got like this, but they haven't. But they're not. Nines but they're playing like nines, like modern strings. And obviously, surely the string has a massive impact.
Yeah, it has a huge impact
on the tone.
I'm on a string mission at the minute because I watched that video that Rick Beato did where it was the string gauge thing, and plays like 8s or whatever. And it's really bright, and for me, 10s feel the best. I can't get away from it. On any length guitar or whatever. I like 10s, but I think I like the sound of 11s better.
Yeah,
I haven't got it because they sound darker to me. If that makes sense.
Also, I like the bite that an 11 gives on a bend on the high E. Like you get a higher attack. Like it gets in there, and it seems like you have more to work with.
They feel terrible. There's too much tension on them for me to maybe because I've got crappy little fingers.
I just work with my hands all day and like do all kinds of crazy things, and so then I can play.
But then 9s feel like a little bit too weak.
I break 9s. That's the problem.
Have you ever done that with a guitar? Have you ever like restrung a guitar that you thought was terrible with a different gauge and gone, oh, actually, it just prefers this gauge? I've noticed that. I built a 10 and it sounded horrific with 10s on it, and I was like, it's a crap guitar. I built a rubbish guitar, put a set of 9s on it. It's like, well, actually, no, it just needed that.
Acoustics, man. Like the amount of times that someone will bring something in and they're like, dude, my action's so high, and it's like, dude, your neck's made of like duct tape and prayers, and you're riding it with like 13s. Of course, it's going to play like a dog. Like, stick some 11s, it'll be fine. Like, don't worry about it. And yeah, all the time.
Mess with the truss rod. Yeah.
And then there's the other thing where you get the archtop player that comes in, and he's like, man, this thing, I don't understand. Like it buzzes out everywhere, and it's got 10s on it, and it's like it was set up to be played with like 14s.
Yeah.
With flat wounds, 14s, like put those on it. It's like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of setup work then? Is that a big part of the shop? Is that all your? Oh wow!
The side is
so there's a couple of customers' guitars that are done, and then there's like Jake's guitar, and then another couple that we're working on. Like we've got an old Dan Electro, and then we've got an old like Japanese audition, like a Taisco thing that we're gonna. We got like this idea of doing kind of like vintage resto mods. I won't say any more because it will be coming down the pipeline.
Sweet.
This side is.
But yeah, all that side is all customers' guitars that we've got to work on, tomorrow.
Yeah.
we'll be back in at 9:30.
I gotta say, like, to that post you made about carrying all the different string gauges and having like all the really weird string gauges for people to try out in singles. That's something that I miss about, like, having access, because that's something we did, like, and I would have customers. There was one guy who bowed Jaguars, and we set it up so that he had as big of a radius as he could for the bowing. And then we had thick gauge strings on the inside, and they went to lighter gauge strings on the outside, and he tuned it in these open tunings, and then did drones and loops and all kinds of crazy stuff. But if we hadn't had like the ability to get like, flat wounds for the bowing and everything like that, and the different gauges, then, his setup would have been null and void. He wouldn't have been able to like get stuff for it.
And again, not to harp on the small shop chain, but if someone, like, so many times you'll find that like someone has a guitar and it's like so close to being exactly what they need. But like, even we talk about music all the time. Sometimes being close is the furthest away you can be,
Yep.
And so someone will bring something in, and like it takes 2 minutes, and it's like, okay, what you actually want, like, you've told me what you want. What you actually want is like this set of strings. You want it with this action, because so many people are like, I want it stupidly low. No, you don't. No, you hit like a truck. Like, we've got a guy, John, comes in, and like the first we had with him, he was like, yeah, like super low. And you watch him play, and he's hitting it like it owes him money. And we're like, no, you got to take the strings up. And like,
it's like he's Vinny from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Literally, yeah. And that's the whole shtick, is like, sometimes it just takes having like a third eye, or like a couple of pairs of eyes.
People that are like,
that do
seasoned and know this. Like the funny thing that sometimes happens is people go, because I own 50% of Intersound. I own 50%, and Steve, the guy who originally started, owns the other 50. Jake works for me, with me, and he does all the work. I just sit there. And it's funny. Like, I'll chat with customers, and they'll be like, "So do you play guitar?" And I'm thinking, surely the guy who like owns and works in the guitar shop should be playing guitar. Like, it's not the 50s anymore. Like, you have to, like, if you're doing this, you got to love it, and you also have to know a lot about it. I'll be really honest with you. I was really not a gear guy. I started playing guitar at like 17. I wanted to be Jim Morrison. I love Jimi Hendrix. I love the Velvet Underground. I got into like other music. The stuff that I listen to these days is more like 20s jazz. I love Cuban music. People like Tom Waits, that kind of stuff.
Oh man, he's my guy.
Yeah, man. Me and Jake went to go and see Mark Ribot.
Incredible.
I love Mark Ribot's playing.
It was in London. He was only doing one date in the UK, and we had to go and see him. He was doing his Cuban stuff, the Los Cubos, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It was properly good. But what was I saying?
You were talking about not liking gear.
Oh yeah, no, I was. So I wasn't really a big gear guy, because I was always about, like, it's about writing the song. It's about putting over the emotion. If you do it with a digital this, digital that. But what I realized, thinking, I'm going to own this fully one day, or I'm going to be the main guy. Like, I've got to know what I'm talking about. So I've spent really like 3 years. I admittedly, just before I started here, I was getting a bit more geary, and I was looking into things and old arch tops and learning a bit more about this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I knew what a Strat was. I knew like the basics, but I wasn't like as nerdy in like vintage Japanese stuff. Like the lawsuit era, all the stuff that I can talk about now. But I realized that I got to be the guy, right? Someone's going to come in and they're going to be like, so, jazz masters, what do you know about them? Well, fucking everything, because I need to be the guy. I need to know about all these things. But there's a value to that, is what I'm getting at.
Yes,
there's a value to that, and you want people to, like, come and hang out and like ask questions, and also just to be honest with them. Like, like if someone's like, what do you think about PAs? I don't know, dude. Like, I don't really know how to work them. Like,
but I know somebody that does. You should go talk to this guy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But you have to, you got to know your onions. And so I've just been slowly absorbing a lot more of this stuff. And I like to keep it 50-50. Like, look, I've bought probably like 3 or 4 guitars this year. I bought at the start of the year, I said to myself, I'm not buying any guitars. I'm not buying any guitars. All I'm going to do this year is buy vintage amps.
There is a board by the door in the workshop that is Danny has bought something. What number is that now on?
It's
Danny?
now on 2.
It's now on 2. Yeah.
I bought so this week I bought a it wasn't a lot of money, but it was you guys might know them. You know the Intersound amps?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
He's got one of them over there.
Bell and Howell.
I'm gonna ask some questions then. Like we're gonna be
I convert them into Dumble Tweed Deluxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's not much room to work inside them though, because the
didn't you have one of yours featured on that pedal show?
Oh yeah, that pedal show played one. But so I sent them it. It's a weird story. Tangent. I made this amp into like an old Bell and Howell speaker cab as well. I bought the speaker cab and just took the amp out of the projector, put it in the speaker. But I said to them, look, the actual speaker itself is knackered. And I posted them it the day before my ship deployed for 9 months. So it's like, I haven't got time to sort the speaker out. Fast forward 2 years, they turn this old amp on with this knackered speaker, and it was like gonna die type thing. And it had the sound, put it that way, but it wasn't the sound I was going for. But yeah, I like modding them to the Dumble Tweed specs.
Okay. I've got a friend. I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy called Ramon Goose. Like,
I know.
That name sounds familiar. Yeah,
you know.
He's a lovely guy. We've been threatening to do a pedal swap for the longest time ever. He wanted me to build him a fuzz.
Okay, because he makes like Steve Ray Vaughan like
the Tube Screamer. Yeah,
Tube Screamer.
But he does them with all weird animal prints on and stuff, and I'm like, they look so cool. We need to do a swap. But
I followed him for like a little bit because I like Ry Cooder and stuff, and the Cudacaster always kind of over the last sort of 4 or 5 years it kind of interested me because of the gold foils and yada yada.
Have you seen the documentary about the luthier that did the work on it for him?
No.
Oh yeah, that guy. He's done work for Paul Simon. You know the Strat that Paul Simon plays that has no pick guard and it just has the pickups like bare in it.
Okay, right.
He was the guy that was working on it, and they got it to that point, and Paul said, "It's perfect. Leave it alone." Yeah. It's a really cool documentary. I can't remember his name. He's Scandinavian, I think. I don't know if he's in Denmark or Sweden.
I would love to watch that.
But you'd love that because Ry's featured in it. And he talks about his Cudercasters a lot in there, so that would be a great resource for you to. Great resource for you to look into.
The gold foils. I mean, look, he's insane, man. He's insane.
Yeah. So the Intersound things, I think the ones that he's got are the more British valve version. Is that right?
The 84s.
He's got the 84 on a 6v6, I think.
Yeah. So mine's the 6v6. Yeah.
I think that's
he's
what
got a few on.
That's what mine is.
Yeah, so it's a 407, I think the model is, something like that. But I think I dated my Transformers back to like 1950, and they're so well built.
If you do the conversions, man, we might be headed down because Danny needs to get it sorted. And I've got an amp that I need fixing.
Yeah, so. I would love to. The thing is, I don't want to do like a dumb. Like I want to have it how it originally was, but taking out like the bits that you don't need.
Have you looked inside the chassis?
I've received an amp repair and guitar trade happening. There's going to be a new guitar in Joe's collection.
Well, I think what I might do is come down and visit the shop just anyway. But I'll bring my Intersound with me, and you can have a mess about with my one. Yeah, I got have you seen Noisy Hammer? He does like speaker cabs and I think he started doing amp heads. But anyway, he's built me a 1x12 speaker amplifier cab for it. It's like in a Dumble setup as well, so it's got the little panel on the front. So good.
The one thing that Ramon said to me when I sent him a picture of what I got, I think he's gigging in like Malta at the moment. So he just sent me like a voice note. It was 2 seconds long. It was like, yeah, I think it's that one. I think it's that real quick. But he said, you might get really lucky because you might find some mullards in it. And like I don't know much about tubes, valves. But they're supposed to be
or Bell and Howell labeled RCAs and stuff like that. They're full of good. And if you've got the same version as me, there's an extra 6v6 that was used to drive the video part of it. that isn't used in the amplifier, so you've got like an extra slot. And,
Oh man, right. I'm going to
Yeah.
see if I can find a picture of it. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Yeah, I've got some old
I'm
night
not too sure
tubes
on
as well.
Yeah,
The night tubes are really cool.
Looks like that. It's that one.
Oh yeah, so that I think that's the next one along.
I think this is like early
Yeah.
50s, like 53.
It's
something like that.
is it got a power transformer? Because there's two. The one hasn't got a power
Okay.
transformer, and it
It's
plugs straight in the mains.
I can't see.
Oh.
I bought it from
Yeah,
Noel.
you
Okay.
need to take that's the whole projector. You need to take the amplifier bit out of
Yeah.
And then that was the cab.
that. So that's the cab that I built that pedal show one in. Yeah,
There's the
I
original
just
speaker.
mounted the amplifier under the speaker there.
That's what I want to
So
do. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I want to do. But so they were used by Raikuda, and so
Yeah.
like one of the big albums that I'm a massive fan of, because like I said before, I like Cuban music. Is Buena Vista.
Buena Vista Social Club.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I've got that I've almost like completely worn out on CD. If you're capable of wearing out CDs, I've almost worn that one out.
Yeah, man, and the stuff that they did a little bit later, you know, the guitar player Manuel Galban,
Mhm.
like, man,
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
Yes.
my like true passion is drums and percussion. So like I've been a big fan of like Afro-Cuban jazz, and like I've been lucky enough to study with some people that, you know, come from that culture. My first like real professional drum teacher was Kester Smith, who's from Granada, and he was James Brown's drummer way back in the day. And he taught me brushwork like nobody else. And that guy, man, he's just got soul. He taught me like the essence of the groove and where the one was and how to play polyrhythms and like what that concept was. And after I met him, like it was a whole different ball game. So yeah, that stuff, like, you know, sometimes you got like 6/8 going over 7/4 with a, you know, 3/4 and like, and the different clave, reverse clave. I mean, my gosh, man, like it's all about rhythm.
Jake's the drummer, so I just
He's
kind
over
of,
there shaking his head in agreement with
Yeah.
everything I was saying. I mean, yeah.
I'm just there. I'm trying to catch up on the comments here because I've just realised that we've answered 0 questions throughout the
Oh,
whole.
shit.
Well,
Okay,
the
because-
comments have been surprisingly free of questions.
Well,
Like Craze
I've
Fandango noticed
been-
that. He says like everybody's so there's people watching, but nobody's like chatting because everybody's listening to what we're saying.
Well, I was going to say usually I've got one eye on the chat, but because I've never really spoke to anyone who owns a guitar store before, I'm like immersed in it. But
Oh, this is
someone's
the
saying
first time I've been able to nerd out with somebody that's had the same experience as I had. It's great.
Yeah.
But speaking
Well,
of which, I
so
need
now
to
who
like
says-
at an hour and 32 minutes, I need to take a bathroom break and go refill my coffee. So I'll be right back.
Yeah,
all right,
man.
mate. So Sonar who says he's got a Carlsberg Stingray that had Mullard mustard caps in. Yeah, they did, mate, and they're so well built, those old amps. They're nice. And then Smarticus USA says the original tubes from an older Princeton worth selling. Don't know, mate. I'd have to see see them. Some of them, yes, some of them, no. But I've got a box of old tubes. If you're looking for tubes, I've got a box of old ones that I pulled from Filmo Sounds and various other amps that I'll bring to shop and you can have because I'm not going to use them. I did a lot of amp work at one point because I was adamant I was going to like start building amps. So I built like the Trainwreck Rocket because they're rare and I didn't have 30 grand for one. I built like a black flag Marshall Plexi and stuff like that. But so much work and the parts cost so much and there's 0 return.
Yeah.
So I was like, unless I'm building them for me, there's no point.
Yeah,
But my Filmo Sound, I built it, sold it when I was skinned. And then I had to contact the guy and trace the amp back down again because I was like, I want it back.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's always ones that you sell and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
There's an SG that I've asked. So there's a bit of an electronics like nerd like character who's you know, knows a lot about pedals and a lot about like synthesizers and stuff. That's been hanging around the shop for a long time. A guy called Norm, like the legend that is Norm. He's insane. Oh, I forgot where I was going to go with that.
SG.
Oh yeah, the SG. Thank you.
That's
He
right.
even knows.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Yeah, like he knows exactly what the story I'm going to tell. So this guy, like when I was here, when I was a Saturday boy or working here, like very part time, like years and years ago, this guy brought in an old SG, and I'm pretty sure he bought the body online, and then he like recarved the neck, and because it had a neck break, and it honestly, it was in like the last stages. It still needed a lot of like spraying and stuff, but it was one of the best SGs that I've ever played. And I said to Norm recently, I was like, dude, if you can find that SG, I might like try and trade my way to it, or try and like buy it off him, because it was insane. I just want to I want to play it, just even if he doesn't want to sell it, just to see if my memory of it is as good as the guitar is, or if it was just me when I was 20 thinking good guitar. I don't know.
Talking about the one that got away.
Kind of, yeah.
I had the same, mate. I had this old. It was a '79 Music Master, nothing special, but it had like the weird, funky, larger bridge than the old ones. You know, one of them, and I had the larger headstock, and it just played great. And someone had put a P90 in the bridge. What have you? It's so good, and I sold it to this kid who's local, and he still plays it live now. And even now, I follow him on Instagram still, because I'm like, I'm gonna buy that back one day. You're gonna sell me.
Never. There's
so good.
There's a 1974 Les Paul Jr. that I sold to somebody that I've got the right of first refusal on if he ever sells it. Supposedly, I don't know if he'll ever sell it though. Like it was one of those. It's like it got away.
My biggest one that got away was that bloody. I had a Flying V, so I made a Flying V from a. Have you seen Precision Guitar Kit?
No.
Over in Canada? So they make like Gibson quality parts.
They're really
like
nice.
Guitars,
yeah, they're a really good kit guitar
like,
company.
Unbelievable. They're not cheap.
Canadian Luther is really off the hook, mate.
Yeah,
it really is.
Mate, but they just do all. You can pick everything. Neck shape, pick up, everything. And I made this Flying V, and I sold it for a couple of grand. It wasn't like a cheap thing.
Wow.
And now I'm like, I sold it to someone who owns an original, and he was like, it plays better than the original. Because it weren't my skill, it was just the stars aligned, and for some reason it's a good guitar.
Right. Well, and also if you have like a good fit and finish, to the parts that you're starting with, then you're going to have a good. Makes it easier to make a good product in the end too.
I had like the best parts. I had like throwback Kossoff pickups in it, and just anything that you can imagine. Because I'm a geek. Yeah, even my Les Paul Custom, I instantly stripped every part off it and bought like a bridge made of the original Zamac material, all of this jazz, for no other reason than in my head I know it's close to the original.
I want to do the same thing with my double band telly, so I completely get it. It's because I'm never going to be able to buy a double band telly, like not an original 60, 61, 62, like a John Frusciante style one. It's just not going to happen. But what I've got is I've ordered like a custom color. It's funny that you'll like this because it's quite nerdy. It's a custom colored dark blue, like navy blue. But it's from the same catalog or the same Ford colors that Fiesta Red came.
Yes.
Yep, that's what the
DuPont is it? Was that them? Or was
it like the DuPont colors? Yeah. I can't remember.
I love all that.
No, the blue.
No, there was PPG and there was DuPont. They used both. I thought.
But it's from the Ford colors. That's where the guy found it. I think it was 56.
I think Ford used DuPont, so it might be in the DuPont.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think Ford was DuPont.
Did you spec out like have you got all the parts as well? Have you bought them from different places?
No, so the way I'm gonna do it is, so the body and the neck are from a golden era vintage. You must have heard of that guy.
He did the pick guard on my strap was from him because it had a new pick guard on. No. He's so good.
He does really good parts.
I've ordered so he gets all parts.
That's who I use primarily as well.
He just goes.
His agent is the most realistic, like the checking and stuff. Out of every aftermarket anyone his are just. I mean, he does the old the Paisley tellies now and again, doesn't he? The bodies, it's so good.
But I trust people that are like yourself, just really nerdy about these things, and they really care. And like I'm never going to get to the skill level, even if I started now, of learning all that stuff and learning how to do it by hand. So spend the money that you make with the trade that you do, and then give it to a man who really knows what he's doing. So I bought a body and a neck, and then I've bought. Well, I haven't bought it yet, but I was thinking probably like a Monty's, like telly. For the bridge, I think I was going to do all the parts with this Canadian company, vintage, whatever it's called. or vintage parts or something like that. I mean, I'll send a link to them later. You can find them on Instagram. They look properly good. They've just done some PAF stuff as well, some like burst collection.
Cool.
And then the last thing that I was going to do, I kind of don't want to say it because people on the stream might buy the pickup because it's an old I won't say.
Don't say.
Yeah,
don't
let
like
somebody, especially if it's something
vintage pickup that not many people put in telly necks. In fact, I've only ever seen one person do it. And when you see, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, I've done some pretty cool. I've done some pretty cool optional neck pickups on tellies. I'll be interested to see which one you choose. I bet it's one of the ones I've done.
It's different.
It's very different.
I got the red pickups from Monty's for my telly that I built.
So I
did
can tell you
a 4-part YouTube series on it, and so much fun building a guitar in it. I mean, spraying the body was a nightmare. I tried to do it myself, which was interesting. Turns out I hate sanding, so it's not.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
No, I've put lipstick pickups in telly neck positions. I've put Teisco pickups actually, I've had single coil. That they're the really tall single coil Teisco pickups that went into like a Strat style guitar, or a guitar that just had that type of pickup. It didn't even have to look like a Strat, but you could like cut out the pick guard and put that in there because they wanted that tone for their neck. I've done some other things. One of them, a different type of Fender pickup.
Say again.
What Monty's pickup were you thinking of for the bridge?
I don't know. I've only met Matt the once, and because he's only in Cheltenham, he's only a stone's throw. So I thought maybe on like a Monday that I'm off, I might pop down and have a chat with him because he's a real genial, real nice guy. Sweet dude. Had a lot of time for me when I went down. I was like, I don't watch loads of his content, but I was like weirdly starstruck because I've seen him on Instagram, and I was like, it's kind of weird seeing you in real life. Like if you meet anybody famous or someone that you've like seen on a screen. And we just were chatting about the music industry and pickups and stuff. But I would probably go with either like a broadcaster, probably something vintagey. I'm trying to make it. What I said to I wish I could remember his name. The guy from the Bodies. I can't remember his name. I want to say Nathan. It's not Nathan. But what I kind of want to do is I almost want it to be like a 62 double bound custom telly that was ordered in 62 and then someone played it for like 2 years and then stuck it in a case and then left it. Yeah. So that's kind of like the story behind it that I'm putting in my head. And so yeah, but the neck pickup is going to be interesting. I mean, put it this way: if you like high gain and stuff, like it is not going to be the one. It's not going to be the one. But I'll give you one clue. If you know you old blues guys, it's a pickup that was used by Lightning Hopkins. And I'm
okay. Yep. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean,
I got it.
There.
Yep.
Yeah. That's class. I've had so many of his telly pickups as well. It's just the full Monty pickup is like a humble.
I got a couple of them in this box right here, mate.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, this is my box of vintage single coils, and there's a couple of them in there. The Lightning Hopkins pickups.
Hey, man.
You interested in selling any of those pickups?
Man, you know how much it would cost to ship those from the U.S. to there. Like we'd have to figure out some kind of workaround.
It's not just the cost.
It's the customs and you might get lost too. I tried to ship a pedal to Joe and it ended up like going all the way there, like circling around, ended up in Ireland at one point, then got shipped back to me.
I'm having real trouble with the US at the minute shipping because
it's insane trying to get anything over there.
Well, you're paying the same sort of tariff that we've always paid. So like I've had customers say, hang on a minute, I had to pay a customs charge here. Like, I've always had to pay a customs charge.
We're probably going to have to figure out ways, like when we do our pedal kit builds, where you can source pedal kits there for the people on that side of the pond, and I source pedal kits here for people in America, so that we can keep it affordable for everybody. Because otherwise, you're going to be paying more than the kit just to have it shipped over.
Yeah,
it's such a sensible way to do it.
We do it opposite, so then the Americans can build your one and the UK.
Nah,
can
we
build
need to
mine.
get everybody on board, mate. I want to conquer all 7 continents. We're on 5
Hey,
now. I just seriously, we've got subscribers on 5 continents of this planet. I just like looked through. I was like, wait,
That's mad.
all we need is Africa and Antarctica, and we're somebody in Morocco. Please let me know if you're out there. If you're watching in Morocco, let us know.
So with your YouTube channel that you just mentioned, is there a specific direction that you're going with that? Because like the mod shop, the repairs, or because honestly, I think there's a massive market for just the day-to-day standard guitar repair. Like, oh, look, this guitar's come in, it needs the nut slightly cut or the nut like redone or something. There's a massive like market for that at the minute. I think what it is we're in a trust recession. No one trusts anyone, and anyone who's authentic in a guitar shop like you guys, there's I just feel like there's a massive opening.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. I think, like I said, I really want to be like the antithesis of a place like Anderton's, and I don't want to slag them off too much because they are they're not Jeff Bezos, as I was mentioning before.
There's a place for everything.
There's a place for everything. Absolutely. And I think what I really want to sell really is just like me and Jake. All we need is for people to turn up. The YouTube videos really are a means to an end in the fact that it's promotion, and it gets people to see me, see my humor, see Jake,
come through the door, man.
And because we just want them to come through the door. Because as soon as people come through the guitar, I mean, you can look at our Google reviews. They're insane. Like people like what we do, and they like the vibe that we keep in here, and we sell decent guitars, hopefully. Like I say, my returns rate is less than 1%, and I'm keeping it that way. So yeah, I think just doing what we're doing, and I think you're right. There is a space for it. I want to have eventually, because we need. We do a lot of our videos after hours, and we want to go home at some point. You know what I mean? Like we got to sleep as well. What I would like is another cameraman to come in, so then Jake can be in the videos more. And I just like hangout style videos. People like Rhett Scholl, which some people I kind of look. He looks like he's my brother.
I like Rhett.
Rhett's a cool guy. And what I really like about his stuff is like the hangout-y stuff. When he candid, when he goes to like, people's houses or he hangs out with people, and I would like that.
There's a real surge in popularity.
It's a look inside the industry that you don't see.
Yes,
and it's also something that like. It's in this whole AI thing that's starting to come about. I think people are going to start gravitating more towards that because they know it's real. And exactly the other thing is like when you start really opening up about something in a long format, you really get to know more about the subject in depth. I think that's why these long format interviews like he's doing are taking off, because you get to know the subject a lot better. It's not just like a really quick blurb that's scripted.
And massively YouTube are pushing anything over an hour long now because they can put more adverts in, which means that they get more revenue. So if you make longer content, and I keep getting people telling me, change this to be, a 2-hour video, the same, make this 8 minutes long and you'll get more views. I'm like, have you seen how much information I've packed into 2 hours? You want me to make it 8 minutes long? That's just not happening. But
what we do is we clip it. We can clip it into shorter format stuff.
I do that too, right? But you'll see after this, there'll be like 1,000 shorts videos that come out. You'll be sick of me tagging you in them and telling you. I warn every guest. But definitely, I think there's a massive market. And in fact, I think we all know a guy who's getting into some cameraman work.
I'm sure
he's just started a YouTube channel. It's Mr. Craze Fandango. He's starting to.
Yeah, he's doing some great interviews.
And I feel like it's just a new beginning for everyone getting in on video. It's been wild for me. I mean, YouTube just my website say I can see where people come from, right? And YouTube is where it's all coming from. So definitely.
And I've started being really selective with my feed. If anything that shows up in my feed that's obvious, like AI slop, I just go in and like say, don't recommend this channel. Don't recommend this channel. And I'm starting to get more cool things that are more related to the plethora of interests I have. The algorithm can't figure me out. Like it's tried to pin me as like so many different things. It thinks that,
it's the best and the bass choice that's on it, isn't it?
Hey.
He's either going to buy a bass or the 5-string bass. I love it.
You can't pin him down. For him, you can't pin him down. Like you have no idea.
But I'm probably going to walk out with a synthesizer. So that's it.
Yeah. John Pardo says, could not agree more. Actual human connection like this evening is going to be more and more important. You guys are providing the public service.
Yeah, because
I agree.
Tomorrow night I'm jumping in on I'm gonna go and watch the Jim Brewer live podcast that he's doing. He's doing it every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern time, and a whole community of people get together and he talks about all kinds of crazy stuff and tells stories and
you know what, like, not to be a business for 3 seconds, but you sell more stuff when you're not trying to sell people stuff. You know, like, I can sit here 100%. All day and be like, yeah, man, this is what you do. But if you just, like, we have Harry, right, who lives literally up the road. We've sold him more in like a couple of weeks, literally just because he comes into the shop and he hangs out and he has coffee and we just chat. And that's all that we want this place to be, is literally just a place where people come down and grab a bite to eat and some coffee and just talk about guitars. And if we sell stuff, great, we get to stay open. If we don't, someone else will buy it. I'd rather my day to day.
Well, you're building up social capital. I mean, that's the cold, hard, calculated part of it. If someone step back and look, you're building social capital. But Brian Wampler once said in a book many, many years ago, which I took to heart, is you're not trying to sell pedals, you're trying to make friends. And that will lead you to have a strong base, which then they do the marketing for you. You know what I mean? If someone has a 2-hour conversation with you, they go away and tell 3 friends.
I've got more.
Come and buy it's compounding, isn't it?
More business from stuff like that than any amount of advertising you could ever pay for. You know, you do good job for a guy. He goes word of mouth. You know, they come easy peasy.
Yeah, it's the only reason that we're open is we've built it up over the years, and you know the guys that were here before me had built up a good reputation, which was part of the reason coming on, and also part of the reason to keep the same kind of ethos. And we're changing it and we're modernizing things and we're changing it because the industry's changing. We're pivoting more into secondhand because we've made as a species so many guitar shaped objects. We've been making solid bodies since 1950. It's almost 100 years.
49, if you really want to get.
There you go. You know what I mean? Like we got a lot of them, and there's a lot of people that have got a lot, and they're now worth way more than they bought them for. Talking about all the vintage stuff that we've been talking about, and this is why I think the vintage stuff is going to go down in value because. There's going to be way more supply soon. These baby boomers, these guys in the 70s, 80s, they're passing away, and they're getting rid of 50 Candy Apple Red.
The hoarders. Yeah, I mean,
that's going to crash it.
I've been to people's houses where literally they had 60 or 70 of one thing, like a butterscotch telly, from every year imaginable, all with a black guard.
It's nuts, but you're not wrong about the social capital thing, but it's also about what do you want to be as a business? Like I said before, I'm not in crypto, I'm not in whatever else. No, I'm not trying to make tons of money. Life isn't just all about making the quickest transaction. It's also about enjoying what you do. Do you want to build pedals, but just to knock them out? Do you want to become boss and do whatever that crazy what is it?
Or do you want to? Or do you want to do? Do you want to do things like this, where you
exactly
take case knife boxes and recycle them and come up with really bare bones pedals that are about making sound for very little money.
Yeah, and I think people have lost.
Sorry, Rick. There's a time delay. That's all.
That's right. I think people have kind of lost that aspect of what it means to run a business. I think now, especially, people are so focused on how do we make the number go up and how do we make the rate that the number goes up go up.
and how do we get our costs down? How do we make it for the lowest quality that's acceptable, the cheapest price, but we get the highest profit?
That's just not what success,
and everything in between gets lost, you know.
To me, success is if we keep this place going until me and Danny are old and grey and I get to work on guitars every day of my life, I'm winning. That's all.
That's 100%.
You've not worked a day in your life then.
You've won the game, mate. You won the game.
Yeah,
At that point, you won.
Most of us of a Saturday go guitar shopping in guitar shops as a treat. You get up and go do that every day.
It's like you know, people say like, you know, it must be nice, you know, to not have to, you know, work. It's
but
like,
imagine going into a guitar shop where every single guitar has been hand selected. That's what I think. So it's not like you've gone, we'll have 50 Fenders of this color, and they all come in the shop and you unbox them and sell them. You've gone out to an auction, for example, and gone, that looks good. Oh, we'll take that and we'll take that. So imagine having a hand curated collection where someone could come in and you know them intimately because you chose them, right? It's like the Yamaha thing where they go through and pick whatever they want from whichever brand, like the Yamaha Gibsons
and picked by people that play, you know, like this is the other side of the vintage stuff is that, you know, we had a guy open a shop literally down the road a few years ago, and sadly they didn't stay because it would have been really lovely to have more guitar shops. But I remember I went in and it was appointment only, and he had a 62 Fiesta Red Strat, stunning thing, played like a dog. It was awful, you know, because, and he said, you know, I remortgaged my house for it, and I didn't have the heart to be like, sorry man, like that sucks.
I need some work.
Put it in a glass case because
there was a real epidemic on the vintage guitar market that I noticed, where you would see these pristine examples of iconic vintage guitars come on the market, and they looked like they had been played once and put away because they played and sounded so horrible. Yeah, especially acoustic guitars, like these vintage J45s. Everybody's like, oh, this is going to be great, and then you played it and it was like, oh, wait a minute, it sounds like it's made of cardboard. It was a bad piece of mahogany that they got.
Do you guys put credence to the playing it makes it sound better thing?
Oh yeah,
I've heard of people leaning it up against the TV.
I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
I think most people, even just by the nature of the fact,
especially an acoustic guitar.
You wear the top in, like you wear the neck in, and I think it's not just that. You can always tell the guitar. Like there was one that came up in an auction, like a Sunburst Strat, and
it was a 75, which obviously 70s Fenders people think are like, you know, awful.
My favorites personally, but like it looked knackered, and someone had worn through the finish, and you could see where their arm had gone through it. And Dan played it, and it
was probably one of the best Strats that I've ever played.
Yeah,
it was insane. It was lightweight.
I worked on a
£7 miners.
Yeah, I worked on an ES 125 from the 50s that the guy bought it in New Orleans, and bought it from the estate of this guy that I guess was the original owner. And when I got this guitar to, you know, like restore for him, the neck had like a section worn away where his thumb had rested, like, and there was a end of the fret sticking out, just bare, just raw metal standing there. Every fret had catastrophic divots all the way up and down the neck. Some of them, when you press the string would stay in. And there were and there were all these grooves in the rosewood. I basically leveled the fingerboard just enough to be able to refret it, and like did some mojo magic to where I could kind of like make that fret work over the string. And then when I set it all up, I was like, dude, how much you want for it? He's like, it's not for sale. Because it had the magic, and it had the guy's social security number engraved on the back of the truss rod cover.
Nice.
Like, so you could look up who the original owner was. He was some old crazy guy in New Orleans that played the thing every day.
New Orleans is hard on guitars.
Nolans. Well, Nolans plays as hard on guitars.
Do you guys know Simon Troop? Simon Troop? Whereas just into sound, meaning to get a guitar and walk out determined to buy one found on a wall. So the question is, did he buy the guitar?
Simon's bought a couple. I know. I think so. The last thing that I think I sold him was a ukulele. Before that, I think we sold him a carving guitar. And then
Carvin's awesome.
And then before that, and it was a really good one actually. Simon's a crazy good player. Like he's real self-effacing, but he works in the industry, and I think he works like lots of like tablature and lots of music, writing stuff. But he's a crazy good guitar player, and we just got in an arch top. I'm trying to remember the brand. I think it was an Eastman. Like we got a single pickup. And if you go through our Instagram, there's a video of me playing it ages and ages ago. Yeah, there you go. Eastman. Yeah, Eastman. Yeah. And he was playing it, and he was noting like how nicely set up it was, and I did that.
There were some like really
top of the cup.
Yeah. Back of the net. Yeah, man. Yeah. We've got really good customers. All we need, honestly, is like 1,000 people in like a 25-mile radius to care and to make a conscious decision to like come to us instead of go. That's all we need. And like I said, I want to sell to musicians. Really, I want to sell to the young kids. I want to sell to hobbyists. I want to sell to people that are gigging musicians. I want to cover it all, but I want to get people the right guitars. The one thing that I will say. And I don't want it to sound like some sort of communist dream, because I know we were joking about
Shade
that. Is that the best way that I've described it to people recently is like your money is a vote, and if we think about our money more in that way, if we think that like because if you vote, I don't know, in America, Republican, Democrat.
It's the power of the pocketbook, really.
Yeah. If in the UK, if you vote, Green,
Labor, whatever.
Sure, it might change slightly, but what really does change is where you spend your money. And if all these massive fucking mega corporations that have just like come out of nowhere, or built up over, however long.
The unicorporation known as BlackRock, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's just come out and say it. I'm through hiding.
Yeah.
Good bastards. I challenged every billionaire to a Vale-Tudo match. If they want to impose anything on me, they have to defeat me in Vale-Tudo rules. 30-minute time limit. The only way is you either tap out or you get knocked out. You either quit or you get knocked the fuck out. The only thing is no eye gouging, no biting, and no fish hooking. Everything else is legal.
Have you seen Anchorman? No, messing up the hair and all, like, obviously.
Yeah. But your money.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
It really is. It really is. And like, why would you want to buy from Boss? When you can buy from from you. And you because you care. You really care about this. You know what I mean? And we care about selling guitars.
I think there's the time and a place for the bigger stores, which to answer the question before, I would never want to be that big. I can't imagine.
You end up worrying about other things and not what you love to do. Like, that's the thing. Like, I got to a point in one of my businesses where I was spending more time worrying about the business than doing what the business was that got me into doing it in the first place. I was like, I can't do that anymore.
You'd be where Brian Wampler is, right? Because we had him on the show, and he was such a nice guy. But he went from being the guy who just builds the pedals,
modded pedals and built pedals,
to being the guy who's like the top of the tree, right? I don't want that. But I think there's a place for the people who can knock out a tube screamer for 30 quid. Yeah. Because the 16-year-old kid who's just got his first job can't afford to buy one of my pedals.
That was their US.
Make them cool pedals were so
and
good.
Exactly. I think they're great, But like, would I?
Hey, they are great. If they just put them in normal enclosures, they'd be legendary.
Yeah, man. But this is it as well. Like, if there was a vote in a conference tomorrow, and like, Lib Dems got in, we're not going to disappear as a shop overnight. Yeah. But if everyone just unanimously decides, I'm just going to buy from, like Andertons or GIF Music or whoever, right? We're gone tomorrow. Our margins aren't that big. We're gone tomorrow.
We can't fix every.
Well, here in the States, the equivalent of Andertons in the States would be Sweetwater over here. Like, trying to compete with Sweetwater. I mean, there's just no way that I can. It's like and
those big companies, they have a place and they need to exist to a degree. But it's knowing, like, if you've got people in your locale like the first port of call should be the little places, and then like if they can't quite do it, maybe you go further afield, and then eventually you go, okay, well the only way I'm going to get this is by going to like the bigger guys.
The bigger guy.
Yeah, or I'm gonna have to order it from abroad or something like that. Yeah.
And there's certain things that you can't find anywhere else. Like, you know, if I wanted to get, you know, an all-in-one portable DJ rig with lighting system and everything for a package deal, I'm going to Sweetwater because they've got it. Sure. And they've probably got 5 different options, and I can find something in my budget.
Well, if you're not sure what you want, the best thing to do is to go into a little guitar store like yourselves, who can say, have you tried this? Oh, by the way, we found one of these. Try this. And then you'll know what you like, even just to set yourself up for the rest of your life of knowing what things
like
are.
If, you know, if I was buying a guitar, I was going to go play it. I wasn't going to buy it sight unseen. If I was going to,
I say that all the time, but nearly every guitar I own, I bought sight unseen.
the only guitars.
You're the pro.
That's true.
I am, but I live in Portsmouth. There isn't the nearest guitar store is Southampton.
Yeah,
and that's like a city away.
But now
they don't have
the guitars that I bought without playing them, I knew weren't playable in the first place, and I was buying them really cheap on eBay because I knew that I could make them play like $1 million.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
So,
that's the difference between us and you know your average musician customer. Yeah,
but if I was going to buy a guitar for me to play, you better damn believe I'm going to play it. And some of the guitars I bought, you know, to fix up, I kept because, like, once I fixed them up, I'm like, I don't want to get rid of that. I won't find that again, you know. And my ex-wife, would say,
so many like that.
Why do you need so many guitars? It's like, because that one sounds like this, and this one sounds like that, and that one's perfect for that song, and because that and guitar and stuff. And you don't understand.
I just converted the workshop and put it all in the workshop so she doesn't see.
I just own half a guitar shop.
Yeah.
There you go.
At the time, I owned half a guitar shop as well. That was what was crazy. It's like, why do you have so many guitars? Because I own a guitar shop. Why? What do you mean?
You kind of have to, right? Like,
you kind of have to.
If you go into like a Mercedes dealer or like a Ferrari dealer, and the guy
drives a Pinto,
the car drove away in a Clio, you'd be like, hold on.
No, he drove away in a Ford Pinto. Wait, what?
But I even think there's a space for like the Quad Cortex, and I know I bag on them all the time because it's digital, but there's some sort of utility there. There's a place for that as well.
Oh man, that's the thing. Like, I'm a utilitarian when it comes to music, and you know, if you can get achieve the result, you know, with that better than something else, then use it. Dude, and if you got the access to it, use it. That's the other thing.
I run them. Like, I play in a band. We play in London. We play up in Norfolk, like all over the UK. And you know, I play bass with that band. Look, I'd love to run an Ampeg, like an 8x10. That'd be lovely. It'd be ideal.
It'd be great to have an SVT
with a roadie.
Yeah, man.
With two roadies. It takes two. One roadie, you're going to crush the poor guy, unless you have like Eddie the Beast Hall or somebody as your roadie.
But then coming back home,
it's for the sound guys. They don't like him, do they? So you must run into that all the time. With like, if you just plug straight in, they're happier.
Yeah, it's that. It's the transport. And then when I sort of, you know, play like blues gigs around here, I was like, you know what? I want something that has a little bit of rumble, and so I bought the DeVille. And I love it. It's great. And like, that's not the Cortex isn't replacing that. Those two things stay separate. But like, there's that thing of like the professional side of things where it's like, okay, I need something I can chuck in a bag and like I can just do it at a gig. And then you get to have fun. You know, and you get to hear the rumble of an amp in a room. I've rebuilt a pedal board, and I'm sure we'll have a chat about some of that at some point.
Oh yeah.
It had to be done because you have to separate like what you do for business, what you do because you love it.
It's genre, isn't it? Like I said before, it's genre. It's also like you say that there is a market for, you know, cheap like Klon, you know, or tube screamers for the 15-year-old kid that's 25 quid or whatever. And then if you want something that's really, you know, really like more authentic, and you're really chasing a certain tone, or you're chasing a certain thing, then and you've got a bit of money to spend, then you know buying something else, buying something more boutique. You know, if all guitars were £2,000,
no one would play guitar.
No one would play guitar. Like, or
the only people that could afford £2,000 guitars would play guitar.
Exactly. You like, and if you had to buy your kid a 2,000, like people that buy violins, those people are insane.
Well, that's the whole reason why the Teisco guitars exploded, why there were so many of them made in the 60s and the 70s. They satisfied that market of people wanted, cheap instruments.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people would take the Teisco label off of the headstock because they were ashamed to have the Teisco label on there that, for it to be seen.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. The Teisco that silver body came from, somebody had taken the badge off of it long ago because it had a Fender looking headstock. So from a distance, it looked like you were playing a Fender.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, the whole headstock shape lawsuit thing came about. That was the only thing they were able to copyright.
We're in the golden era now, right? So you even like Epiphones, all right, they've just gone up by like double the price, but the new Epiphones play and sound fantastic. Some of them are as good as any guitar that you could wish for, and you can get second-hand ones for next to no money. So we're in a golden era, and it's just about making yourself stand out.
Yeah.
So what do you offer? You offer personal experience. So
Headphones all day, every day. Great.
It's a buyer's market for sure, and there's never been a better time to pick up an instrument and play it, like from learning it to all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, there's so many good quality instruments for under $200 out there available now.
But for learning, all we just need is all these kids that are 15 and under is to get into it. Like we were talking just before we came live. Oasis and all these bands hopefully kickstart like a hunger in these younger people. And
I really, like I said, I see it in a lot of that generation. The son of the owner of the music store here in Wilkes County is 13, 14 maybe, and he plays left-handed, but he plays a right-handed guitar upside down. And he had me restring a left-handed guitar right-handed for him to play because he wanted the access to the higher, reaches on the frets. He had this neon orange, like crazy guitar he picked up for like $75, but he also plays bass and drums, and he's playing stuff like Tool, and he's playing like prog rock. He's playing he plays everything. He plays like Sabbath. He plays, something will come on the stereo in the store, and he'll just start playing along with it, whether he's heard it before or not. So they're out there. It's happening.
The only concern I've got is there's been a couple of times, like when Chris Buck first made Cardinal Black, I was like, this is going to be music's going to be a massive thing. Everyone's going to get involved. Or when Xander and the Peace Pirates, a band that no one's ever heard of, brought out 1111. I was like, this is it. They were touring with Gibson. It's going to be massive. I mean, their lead singer / guitarist plays with a hook because he's got no hand. And he's amazing. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, this is going to be the next resurgence. And it just never happened. But now everywhere I look, there's kids on Instagram or whatever picking up guitars. And I do think it's like the small businesses. Well, it's in full circle.
Yeah,
no longer the mass producers.
It's the DIY indie scene, and you're getting regional acts that are able to make a decent living, and they don't have to sign their souls away with the major labels. Like, that's the best decision I ever made as a professional musician, was not signing the contract that Warner Brothers put in front of me, because I would still owe them $300,000.
I've only ever signed one contract, mate, and that was take the King shit. Go to sea. I've never had another job.
Yep.
I've been on an O2 contract for about 12 years. So is that similar?
I've been on a do not contact contract. I've been on a no contact contract.
I think people are just tired. I think they're going to be tired of fake stuff. Like you were talking about AI before, and somebody commented about real human interaction. I've got this like bet. I'm pivoting really into being like a live guitar player. Someone who can play at like different gigs and play really well live, because I think the live scene is going to come back in a big way in the next 10, 20 years. Because the way you've got to look at it, like you're saying about things being cyclical and it coming back around, is, these kids that are going to be like 25 or 35 in like 10 years time, they're not going to want to sit on their phones because it's going to be antiquated. Because that's what your grandmother does. That's what your mum does, goes on TikTok. Like, I don't want to do that. They're looking at like the 90s and the 80s and the 60s and how it was, and they're going to want to build it. And it's going to be like a revivalism type thing. I'm telling you.
It's coming around.
Yeah, that same thing's happening with other things too. Like, they're realizing that going to college is a scam. They're going to trade schools. My nephew, he's like learning welding, And he's also been doing auto mechanics, like stuff like that. He's not going to go to college. He's going to go straight into like a trade program. And he's been like doing ranch work, working with cattle, doing veterinary work. And he just got to like take a ride around the racetrack in a like really fast race car. And as soon as he got out, he says, I could do that for a living. So, I mean, he might be a race car driving, music making, cowboy ranching man. We'll see.
I'm just about to argue with Mr. Craze Fandango for the first time ever. The live scene hasn't gone. I went to it.
Hey, wait. I think he's being facetious. It's just like, it's just like,
but I'm taking
it's
the
just
bait.
like, it's just like, it's just like foot switches belong in the center.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Tinfoil speedos are on, man.
I had a mate come over from America. He runs the Guitar Knobs podcast. On the Friday night, we were like, what's going on? What are we doing? And my wife said, there's a local pub that does live music. Why don't you just go down and check it out? And we got in this tiny pub that's the size of my garage. And while the band start loading up, and there's a bass guitarist with a full valve rig. The lead guitarist come in with a 50-watt Silver Jubilee stack, pointed right at my face about 4 foot away. It was horrific. But he had 3 guitars that he was changing between a spaceship pedal board. And my mate was like, what the hell? I was like, we're back.
Yeah.
We're back.
It's this weird narrative that I see, like, and I know obviously Martin's being facetious, but it is. I find so many people sort of going, the live scene, it's dead. It's like, okay, well, when was the last time you went to a live gig? You personally went to a live gig, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't go. That's A, if it is dying, that's why it's dying, and B, you can't comment if you haven't been to a live gig in ages. Like, you go to any, like, look at any big festival.
Like the Douglas Murray comment. Have you been?
Yeah. Like, Download, Bloodstock, like all of the big festivals are killing it. All of the little like scenes at the moment are back on the revival because people hate, like, we have to remember guitar and music is counterculture. That is what we are. Like, man. The world is in a shit state. Of course people are going to be out and making a racket about it. That's part of the fun,
Yeah. I mean, that's why I've like learned Wire Strange note for note. And like to the effect, like I actually like designed effects so I could get that same sound because something strange is going on tonight, something strange, and it's not quite right. Joe's nervous and the lights are bright. There's something strange and it's not quite right.
It's all coming back, mate. I can feel it. But at the 2 hour and 15-minute mark, I'm gonna have to call it because I'm up at 5 for work.
He's tapping out.
And, I'm tapping out first. But thank you so much.
I was thinking my battery was going to die because we were going to have so much to talk about. But Joe's a wuss.
Normally it does, mate. But
we'll try again.
Yeah,
we'll be back. You can't keep good men. Can't keep good men like us down.
We should do something video wise. Maybe come up with some sort of competition, where I build a pedal and you guys like fight it out over the pedal design or some stuff. Anyway,
I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Like
rules.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I've been Hello Sailor Joe, and tune in for the Pedal Dive podcast in 2 weeks' time when we have someone I can't remember. John, who have we got in 2 weeks?
Your guess is as good as mine, mate.
Oh man, well, let me just flash it up because I'm terrible. 2 weeks' time we have.
I've just come back out of the veil of darkness.
Yeah. We've got Neil from NRG Effects. We've been trying to get him over the longest
cool.
time.
Yes,
He's
he's been on the docket for quite a while.
Yeah, so good. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, people, and I shall see you next time.
All right, Jerry, we're out.